As youngsters, we learn by trial and error the fundamentals of this artful sport. As teenagers, we begin to dream about one day being the hero in a championship game. One game that will be a moment to shine. The College World Series has been the platform for many to shine and prove that dreams can actually come true. These dreams have been lived for 51 consecutive years by 20 teams. Some of the dreams have come true in fairy tale fashion.
Now Warren Morris. It's a deep drive down the right field line. That ball is gone! LSU wins the College World Series on a home run by Morris.
Today, the Arizona State Sun Devils are seeking the 6th College World Series title in school history. A scrappy group, the Sun Devils have put together a championship run that features all of the fundamentals and a will that has allowed them to be undefeated this year in Omaha. The USC Trojans are pointing toward a record 12th College World Series title. Their road to today's championship game has already featured the dramatics that make this event so special. It's Arizona State versus Southern California to see whose dream will come true today. Welcome everyone to Omaha and the NCAA College World Series as CBS Sports presents an ERA Championship Series event, the 1998 College World Series Championship game. And today, playing for the national title, it's the Trojans of the University of Southern California with a record of 48-17, the number 4 seed at the College World Series this year, against the Arizona State University Sun Devils with a record of 41-22, the Sun Devils, the number 6 seed. We've had some cool temperatures in recent days here in Omaha. It has warmed up a bit today, 66 degrees as we approach game time. The humidity not uncomfortable and a lighter wind than we're accustomed to seeing here at Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium. That'll be welcome news to the pitchers. Hello, everyone, and welcome inside Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska, where they hope for another record-setting crowd for today's championship game. Very difficult to get a ticket here. I'm Sean McDonough. It's great to have you with us for just the 3rd time in College World Series history. We'll have 2 teams from the same conference playing for the national championship. It also happened last year when LSU met Alabama. But in USC and ASU, we have the 2 winningest teams in the history of the College World Series. USC has won a record 11 titles. ASU has won 5. But it's been a while since either team hoisted a national championship banner. USC's last victory came 20 years ago. Arizona State hasn't won it since 1981. One of them will win the title today. They're certainly familiar with each other. They played 6 times during the regular season. Each team won 3. As a matter of fact, each team swept on its home field. USC winning all 3 games in Los Angeles. ASU swept 3 in rather lopsided fashion in Tempe. Let's take a look now at how the 2 teams got to this point. It was a much easier trail to the championship game for the Arizona State Sun Devils as they needed just 3 games and they went undefeated through bracket 1 with victories over Long Beach State, Miami of Florida, and Florida State. USC had a much tougher time. The Trojans lost their first game last Saturday to LSU, so they faced elimination in each of their next 4 games, but they beat Florida, Mississippi State, and then 2 in a row against the 2-time defending champion LSU to make it back to the championship game for the first time since 1995. I'm pleased to be joined on today's telecast by Fred Lynn. Let's head down to the USC dugout. He's standing by with Coach Mike Gillespie.
Thanks, Sean. Coach, you're in here in the championship ball game today. Maybe you can tell us about your starting pitcher, Rick Courier. He's a freshman in a real tough situation.
Well, Rick really is an outstanding and exciting freshman, Fred. A guy with a live fastball and has command of 2 different breaking balls, both the slider and the curveball. And he is a guy that's done very well for us, and I think he has a great future, and I think he's ready to step up and have a great day for us.
What about the little bit of rivalry between USC and ASU? How's that play a part in today's ball game?
Well, Fred, of course, I think as we both know, why the Arizona State-USC series goes back several years now, and 2 great histories, 2 great traditions. It's been a storied tradition, great players, and so it's an intense rivalry of long standing, and these 2 teams have gone head to head and have really had dogfights against one another. So it is a very intense, tough rivalry, but I think one with great mutual respect. and our guys certainly understand they're in for a great battle today against a great team.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in today's ball game. Now with Arizona State, here's Andrea Joyce.
All right, Fred, thanks. We are with Sun Devils coach Pat Murphy. Coach, I want to ask you about your pitcher, Ryan Mills. How does he seem to you today?
I think he's going to be fine. You know, USC's seen him for the last 3 years, so they know him pretty well. And Ryan's thrown a lot of pitches lately, but he's a big-time pitcher, and he'll come through in a big-time situation.
And I know you're looking for any kind of edge you can find for this game. What about this unusual good luck charm you have in your back pocket?
Well, a couple of priest friends of mine that are very special, Father Joe and Father John, we're in Jerusalem. Father John Herman picked up this rock in the riverbed that supposed David has slayed Goliath, and I've kept it with me ever since, and we haven't lost yet. So
it's a role that suits your team well. Good luck this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
All right, stay with us, folks. It is Arizona State against USC for the national championship back in Omaha in a moment.
To both teams. We welcome you back to Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha. Sold out as usual for the national championship game today between USC and Arizona State. USC, the visiting team. Here's the starting lineup for the Trojans. Wes Rachels, the second baseman, leads off. Batting second, the left fielder, Greg Hanoyan. The first baseman, Rob Gore, hits third. The cleanup hitter, the catcher, Eric Munson. Third baseman, Morgan Ensberg, bats fifth. Hitting sixth and playing right field, Brad Ticehurst. The DH is Jason Lane. Jeremy Freitas, the center fielder, bats eighth. And hitting ninth, the shortstop, Seth Davidson.
The Sun Devil defense looks like this. Dustin DeLucchi sets up in left field. Rudy Arguelles is in center. Michael Moreno is over in right. Andrew Beinbrink is at third base. Michael Collins is at short. Willie Bloomquist is at second. Jeff Phelps is at first. Doing the catching today is Greg Halverson, and on the mound is Ryan Mills.
Mills, a junior from Scottsdale, Arizona, with a record of 8-3 in 19 games. He's struck out 139 in 114 and a third innings pitched. And earlier this week, he was the sixth player taken in the entire Major League Baseball draft in the first round by the Minnesota Twins. He's the 21st player out of Arizona State to be selected in the first round of the big league draft. He's ready to go to work in what will likely be his final appearance for Arizona State. And Wes Rachels leads off. The senior from Los Angeles, hitting .316 with 2 homers and 29 runs batted in. And he's concluding a terrific career at USC today. First pitch from Mills, a called strike from the home plate umpire Dick Runchi. Rachels in the top 10 in USC history in walks, hits, stolen bases, and he adds another base hit to his records. Single into left center field, and Rachels has good speed at first.
Well, we wanted to see if Ryan Mills is going to be able to get the ball inside on right-handers early in this ball game. He gets the ball up to Wes Rachels, and under normal circumstances with a wooden bat, that's probably a broken bat. But that one just blooped over the head, and that's what happens when you get the ball up in the zone. Those bloops fall in.
Greg Hanoyan, the batter, hitting .363. He's the second leading hitter on the team behind Eric Munson. 1-0 the count on Hanoyan. He's a junior from Huntington Beach. And he looked at ball 2. Mike Gillespie in his 12th season as head coach at USC. Back in 1961, he played in the national championship game for the Trojans as the left fielder. Now the count goes to 3-0 on Hanoyan. And there's ball 4. So USC has 2 men on with nobody out. We mentioned they lost that heartbreaker last Saturday here on CBS to LSU. Blew a 5-run lead, lost 12-10, so that put them on the brink of elimination in each of the next 4 games. But they defeated the #1 seed Florida And then behind today's starting pitcher, Rick Courier defeated Mississippi State 7-1. Then they won back-to-back games against LSU yesterday and 2 days ago to eliminate the two-time defending national champions and advance to today's game. Rob Gore, the first baseman, the batter. He looks at the 5th straight ball thrown by Mills.
Sean, this is probably the worst possible start that Ryan Mills could have in this type of a ball game. You're going to have jitters to start this game no matter what. And then they get a squeaker base hit, and then he can't find the plate right now. And the Trojan hitters are definitely going to be taking a strike.
Gore swings away, and it's a deep drive to left. DeLucchi at the wall. It's gone. A 3-run homer by Rob Gore.
So much for taking a strike. The Trojans come out with an aggressive frame of mind. Looks like a cutter from Ryan Mills gets all of the plate, and Gore gets all of this fastball. You can see he's on nice balance. He attacks it, hits the ball in front of the plate. The wind is blowing a little bit from left to right. Held this ball up a little bit, otherwise it would have been further back into the stands.
The home run for Gore, his 15th of the season, second in the College World Series. USC is not a big home run hitting team relative to LSU and some of the others we've seen here, but they have set the school record for home runs this season. Now with 110. Gore, a junior from Vista, California, out of Rancho Buena Vista High School. Was their starting center fielder last year. This year moved into first base and was first team All Pac-10. As he has been accepting the congratulations in the Trojan dugout. Pat Murphy, the head coach of Arizona State, visited Ryan Mills at the mound, trying to settle down his pitcher. Now the cleanup hitter, Eric Munson, and they'll pitch very carefully to him. Coach Murphy says that Munson is the best hitter in college baseball. He's the leading hitter for the Trojans at .394 with 16 homers, and 56 runs batted in. And he posted those numbers despite missing 19 games this season due to a couple of different injuries. He suffered a freak injury just before the series between these two teams in Los Angeles when a ball bounced out of the batting cage during batting practice. Actually went under the cage, bounced up and hit Munson in the eye. He was standing behind the cage, and then he suffered a stress fracture of his right foot later in the season and did not play in the series in Tempe. Breaking ball missed on 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Munson.
Sean, even though these teams know each other very well, this is the first time Munson has seen Mills and vice versa because of those injuries.
And Munson lines one to center, and that's a base hit. So the first 4 Trojans have reached base, and it's as good a start as Mike Gillespie could have envisioned.
One thing about Munson, even against a tough left-hander, he doesn't flinch. Shoulder, his right shoulder stays in there. This is a high fastball again, up in his eyes almost. That's a very easy pitch as long as you can get your hands above the ball, which Munson did in that case.
Morgan Ensberg, the third baseman, is the batter, and he took ball 1. He's hitting .342 with a team high 21 homers and 68 runs batted in. Bounce down to third. Backhanded by Beinbrink. And Bloomquist turned the double play. Nicely done. 5-4-3. Beinbrink, Bloomquist, and Phelps. And Ryan Mills really needed that.
Yeah, this is a pitcher's best friend right here. Ensberg chops it down to Beinbrink, makes a nice backhanded stab, takes his time, delivers a strike over to Bloomquist, and he turns it over to Phelps at first base in time for the double play.
So now 2 outs and the bases are empty. First ball swinging Brad Ticehurst, the right fielder, and he fouled it out of play to the left. Ticehurst is hitting .305, 17 homers and 52 runs batted in. 3 of those home runs and 7 of the runs batted in have come here in the College World Series. He's had a terrific week plus here in Omaha, including the news that he was drafted in the 8th round by the Texas Rangers on Tuesday. He's a junior, Los Alamitos, California, out of Mater Dei High School. And he's out on the breaking ball. The first strikeout for Mills gets him out of a difficult first inning. The Trojans lead 3-0 on the home run by Rob Gore after a half inning in Omaha. Arizona State trails 3-0 as the Sun Devils come up for the first time this afternoon. With this lineup, Willie Bloomquist to the second baseman leads off. Rudy Arguelles is in center field. Batting third, the right fielder Michael Moreno. The cleanup hitter, third baseman Andrew Beinbrink. Jeff Phelps is the first baseman. Dustin DeLucchi, the left fielder, bats sixth. Hitting seventh, the DH Casey Myers. Greg Halverson is the catcher. Batting ninth, the shortstop Michael Collins. And the pitcher for USC is the freshman Rick Courier, a freshman All-American as selected by Collegiate Baseball Magazine this year with his 6-1 record and the eye-popping 97 strikeouts in 70 innings. That's 12.5 strikeouts per 9, and his first pitch is a strike to the leadoff hitter Willie Bloomquist, the leading hitter for Arizona State at .420 in his sophomore season. Coach Pat Murphy says Bloomquist has far and away been ASU's MVP this year. He had 5 hits to tie the College World Series record in the victory over Long Beach State. And he's hitting .533 for the College World Series. He's the team leader in hits, runs scored, stolen bases, triples, and walks. And he takes the ball down and away. And Fred, I would imagine it's a boost to the pitcher Rick Courier to have this 3-0 lead to help the freshman relax pitching in the national championship game.
Sean, the Trojans couldn't have scripted it any better for a freshman. He comes out here with a 3-0 lead. He's got to have a big sigh of relief.
And he gets the call on the close pitch on the outside corner. So Courier with a strong start, a strikeout of ASU's leading hitter.
Courier, and you're going to see this slider, this hard-biting slider, which Mike Gillespie alluded to earlier in the show. He throws this a lot. He threw it for the first pitch of a game. That shows a lot of confidence from a freshman.
1 out and the base is empty. 3-0 USC, bottom of the first. Rudy Arguelles is the batter. The Sun Devils center fielder having a terrific College World Series, batting .500. And that's surprising given that he's hitting just .280 for the year. That's a low batting average in college baseball, but he is delivered here in Omaha. He's a senior from Corona, California, 26 years old. He was out of school for 4 years, and we'll tell you more about his story as the afternoon goes along. He looks at a ball. 2-1. Coach Pat Murphy mentioned the lucky rock that he was given by 2 friends of his. He's keeping it in his pocket. Arguelles has his hotel room key from Wichita, where Arizona State won its regional, in his back pocket. They played the first game in Wichita and won, and Arguelles did well. After the game, he discovered that he still had the key to his room in his uniform pocket, so he's kept it in the pocket for every game since. And you saw a look at the key. The crew doesn't miss anything. Courier with back-to-back strikeouts. So much for freshman jitters as Arguelles goes down after the strikeout of Bloomquist.
Sean, you know, in the big leagues, they would call this easy heat because his delivery is very slow, and you just kind of lulls the hitter to sleep, and then he throws that nasty slider down and into a lefty. Boy, that is tough to hit. I'm glad I'm not hitting today.
2 outs and the base is empty. 3-0 USC. Bottom of the first. Michael Moreno with a swing and a miss for strike one. He's at .354 for the season. 11 homers and 55 runs batted in. Another senior playing in his last game for Arizona State. Strike two. So the freshman Courier, pitching in the national championship game, has a chance to strike out the side in the first inning. Is that a swing? Yes, it is. And Rick Courier strikes out the side in the first. After one in Omaha, the Trojans of Southern California lead 3-0. USC after an inning. Sean McDonough with Fred Lynn, and somewhere in Rosenblatt Stadium we'll find our friend and colleague Andrea Joyce.
Down here in the clubhouse, this has been a nerve-wracking week for a member of the crew. Jim Bailey is in charge of maintaining the daily supply of baseballs for the College World Series. Now, normally he has 60 dozen for the entire series, but when the teams hit 36 home runs in the first 4 days, he got a little nervous, so he had the NCAA order more balls, and it's a good thing, Sean. They've already gone through 78 dozen.
My goodness.
That's a lot of chickens.
Yes, indeed. Well, we saw a lot of those balls fly out here last Saturday when LSU and USC combined hit 10 home runs. Here's Jason Lane. He hit 2 out of the ballpark yesterday and helping lead USC to the victory over LSU. It's part of a memorable day for Lane, a day he'll never forget. Not only did he hit the 2 home runs, but late in the ball game he came in to pitch and got the save. Behind a terrific pitching performance by Mike Penny. The last 2 days, USC received outstanding starting pitching from Seth Etherton, and yesterday from Penny. Penny and Lane combining
to be Penny Lane.
And there's another base hit for Lane. Ringing line drive down the left field line. Played in the corner by DeLucchi. And it's an easy double for Lane, junior from Sebastopol, California, in Northern California.
Well, Lane's done just about everything in the College World Series except for right up the lineup. You see that cut fastball from Mills, and the Trojan right-handed hitters know that's where he wants to go with that cut fastball. He wants to set up inside, and that's where he wants to pound him. Lane says,
One of the few disappointments for Jason Lane has been that his parents aren't able to make the trip to Omaha. Glenn and Pam Lane run a trucking business that has them working a lot of hours in Northern California. They're not here today, but they're watching, very proud of their son, who stands at second base as Jeremy Freitas turned to bunt and looked at strike one. He's hitting .325, 14 homers, 57 runs batted in. And we saw gorilla ball, as it's known, last weekend from LSU. These two teams will play more traditional college baseball. From time to time, bunt, steal, hit and run. There's a blast to the gap. In for another hit. Lane comes around to the plate. Freitas has a double, and it's 4-0 USC. They are coming after the All-American Ryan Mills with great vigor here in the first 2 innings.
I'll tell you what, these left-handed hitters from the Trojans, they aren't giving an inch. Here's a breaking ball after an 0-1 count, and Freitas is trying to get the runner over by advancing the ball to the right side of the diamond, blasted into right center. And Jason Lane did a heads-up thing. He went back to tag up on this ball just to make sure if one of the outfielders did make the play, he'd get to third base. Ball drops in, he scores.
Nightmarish start for Pat Murphy. Seth Davidson, the number 9 hitter, squared the bunt. Pitch went past the catcher. Halverson couldn't come up with it, and apparently it did not strike the bat, so on to third goes Freitas.
This looks like almost the catcher gets crossed up. Halverson here. You see the hitters already squared around, gets out of the way, and the ball, he just misses it. That ball has a lot of hop to it. You can see the spin he has. That's a fastball. Looks like a slider, but he throws it a little bit off center and it cuts, so it runs into a right-handed hitter. And when you're throwing 92, 93 miles an hour and that ball's up, it's tough to catch.
A pass ball gets the runner to third, and Coach Murphy's going to play the infield in. Already down by 4 runs with the number 9 hitter at the plate. Shortstop Michael Collins hanging back a little bit, but the rest of the infielders are in with the count 1-0. There is already action in the ASU bullpen. That's a big surprise with Mills, the All-American, the first-round pick, who's well rested on the mound. We certainly didn't expect to see Aaron Kramer warming up this early. He is in the bullpen and getting ready for the Sun Devils. Pat Murphy in his 4th year at Arizona State. First trip to the College World Series as a head coach for Murphy. He came to ASU, replaced the legendary Jim Brock, who died of cancer very shortly after his emotional trip with the Sun Devils to the College World Series in 1994. And Murphy came from Notre Dame, where he took a program that was down in its 6 straight 45-plus win seasons. Davidson back to the mound. It struck Mills. He had a tough time finding it, and Davidson's safe. The runner Freitas had to remain at third base. Now that can be frightening for Mills. Earlier in his career, he was hit in the face by a line drive. A tape that's been shown over and over again is an example of just how dangerous aluminum bats can be.
Well, you can see any pitcher, I don't care if he's pitching in Little League or what have you, you have to be in a good fielding position after you let go of the ball. Especially when we're at college here and we're using these aluminum bats. The ball does get back there quickly, but you got to be in good position to catch the ball too, Sean.
Pat Murphy on his way to the mound. He wants to make sure Mills is okay. Mills waved away the trainer when he tried to come out to the mound, but now Murphy's out there and the trainer's coming with him. And Ryan Mills making his 2nd appearance in the College World Series, and he is rested. He worked last Sunday against Miami. He had a much easier time through 6 innings than he's had in an inning plus today. Against the Hurricanes, he allowed just 2 runs on 5 hits in 6 innings, struck out 6. He got the win as Aaron Kramer pitched the final 3. Arizona State won 9-2. Coach Murphy was a little bit frustrated with just the 8 wins when we spoke with him yesterday. He said a guy with his talent pitching at this level should have more than 8 wins, and Ryan admitted when we chatted with him yesterday it has been an up and down season for him.
Well, he's been a little inconsistent in the strike zone, and we saw it so far today. Every time he's got the ball over the part of the plate, he's been hammered.
He's coming out of the ball game already. Aaron Kramer, the new pitcher, when we come back to Omaha. Major surprise here in Omaha as USC has knocked out Arizona State starter Ryan Mills after 1 inning plus 3 batters in the 2nd. And the Trojans lead 4-0. And the new pitcher for ASU is the senior from Phoenix, Aaron Kramer, with a record of 8-2. And again, more strikeouts than innings pitched, 79 Ks and 70 in the 3rd innings. And he comes into a tough spot. Runners at 1st and 3rd and nobody out, and he's trying to prevent this from getting away from ASU very early. Meanwhile, Pat Murphy has walked down to the bullpen to chat with the bullpen catcher. He might just want to get out of the dugout for a while and change the karma. Top of the order, Wes Rachels greets Kramer. Rachels took a ball inside. He singled into left center and scored on the Gore 3-run homer last inning. And there's a deep drive to left, way back, and there's another 3-run homer for USC. Just the 3rd home run of the season for Wes Rachels. And it is 7-0 in favor of Southern California.
You know, Sean, sometimes when a team fights really hard to get to this ball game, as USC has, they've had emotional ball games, tough ball games. You see Rachel's taking that ball's in off the plate. He brings his hands in really nicely and drives it out of the ball yard. But to make the point, you know, these guys are on a roll. Arizona State, they won 3 games and sat for a couple of days, practiced, enjoyed the weather here. But USC is on an emotional roll.
I think both teams came in on a roll, but the starting pitching performance of Mills has really deflated his team. And the batter is Greg Hanoyan, who walked and scored on the 3-run homer by Rob Gore last inning. Foul ball off to the left. Ryan Mills pitched 1 inning today, and he allowed 6 runs, all earned on 6 hits and a walk. He struck out 1. He threw 26 pitches. Certainly he seems to have a bright future, a young man who can throw in the high 90s when he has his best fastball. Ryan Mills, the son of a former big league pitcher. His dad Dick pitched very briefly for the Boston Red Sox. His mom is a nutritionist, Ginny Mills. Coach Murphy was saying Ryan's one of these young men who's really been primed from a very early age to be a top draft pick and a major league pitcher. His dad has worked very closely with him throughout his life. But this was not the way he wanted to, in all likelihood, end his college career. He is a junior, but it seems likely he'll sign with the Twins after being the 6th pick in the draft. Ryan turned down more than $500,000 to sign with the Yankees coming out of high school because he wanted to go to college. Now it's Aaron Kramer working to Hanoyan. Another foul ball. And certainly has been an interesting history, Fred, between Ryan Mills and the Trojans. Been a lot of talk about USC and the fact that they try to pick off the signs from the other team's battery. They'll relay information to the hitter quite loudly and animatedly as the hitter's at the plate. Mills admitted he was distracted by that the first time he faced USC. There's a changeup for strike 3, and Hanoyan is out. But then the last time up against USC, Mills struck out 15, so none of that sign picking was a problem. We talked about his up and down season, and just his starts against USC are a great indication of that. Back down today in the biggest game of his college career. So that's the first out of the inning. And here's Rob Gore with the 3-run homer last inning that got the Trojans off and running very quickly.
Sean, sometimes, you know, the after effect of, we were talking about the signs and how USC was stealing signs and how it shook him up, you know, and then he blotted it out against USC at his place at ASU in Tempe. But this is a neutral site, and he didn't have that home field edge, and maybe he started thinking again. You never know with a young player what he's going to do in a big situation. And
well, Mills' dad was particularly critical of USC for the sign picking in an article in Collegiate Baseball magazine a few weeks ago. Mike Gillespie, when we talked with him yesterday, said Mr. Mills was the one who seemed to have the biggest issue with it. We should point out we've been told that Dick Mills is not here today. But there is some underlying bad blood between these two teams. They had a major brawl 3 years ago. There's another drive by Gore. Forget about that one. That's going to land in Lincoln. Second homer in as many innings for Gore. He has now driven in 12 runs in this College World Series. The lead all hitters this year. The record is 17 by Stan Holmes of ASU back in 1981.
Well, Gore hit a fastball out in the first inning, and it's almost identical location, down and in. A lot of right-handers don't like the ball down and in, especially from right-handed pitchers. They'd rather have it away from them. But these SC hitters are looking for the ball down in there. Obviously, there's some history here. I mean, this is the 7th time they played each other. Everybody knows one another, so it's whoever executes the best is going to win this ball game. And thus far, USC is executing to perfection.
We chatted with Mike Gillespie last week about Gore. He said occasional power. Well, been more than occasional today. And Coach Gillespie is delighted that's the case. 2 home runs. One in the first inning, one in the second, by Gore, who was drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 14th round earlier this week. Now Eric Munson, the batter.
Occasional power, like occasionally every time he hits.
That's right, on every occasion today. 8-0 USC in the second inning. Off-speed pitch, bounce to second. Bloomquist to Phelps for the out, 2 down. It's been an up-and-down ride for Aaron Kramer since he came into the ball game. He was greeted by the 3-run homer by Rachels. Then he struck out Hanoi, and then Gore hit the solo homer. Now the ground out by Munson. These are the 2 best ASU has to offer on their pitching staff, and both Mills and Kramer have been roughed up today. There's action again in the bullpen. Ball 1 down and in. And Morgan Ensberg, the 8th batter of the second inning. He grounded into a 5-4-3 double play in the first, but that inning might have been much worse for Ryan Mills. Well, we thought gorilla ball left when LSU was knocked out, but that's not the case. This is a performance even the Tigers could admire.
Well, the one difference between LSU and USC is that that's just one part of their ball game. LSU lost this tournament because they were one-dimensional. That's all they could do. They did it very well.
Ensberg hit by the 2-0 pitch. And you don't see much of this with intent in college baseball. But you wonder if there was some intent here, given that it's 8-0 and they've been taking great swings and knocking the ball out of the ballpark with regularity.
Well, they're definitely trying to pitch inside. There's no question that every right-handed hitter is being pitched inside, and that one looks like it got a little bit too far inside.
24 batters have been hit in this College World Series. That's a record. Brad Ticehurst, the batter, he was called out on strikes to end the first. Fouls went back to the screen. Matter of fact, when we talked with Pat Murphy yesterday about the sign stealing that USC does, he said obviously in Major League Baseball, professional baseball, the response would be to drill the hitters, meaning hit them. And in college baseball, we don't want to do that. And Pat Murphy said, I've talked with a lot of people in baseball about how I should deal with it if it happens and it rattles my pitchers again. And 90% of the baseball people I talked to said drill the hitters, even if it is college baseball. Coach Murphy said they would not play that way. Hop fly in shallow left. The shortstop Michael Collins out to make the catch, and that ends the inning. But the Trojans batted around. They scored 5 more. After an inning and a half, it's 8-0 USC. Rob Gore of USC has already tied the College World Series championship game record with 2 home runs. He's the 3rd player to hit 2 homers in the championship game. Bill Horning of Minnesota did it in 1956, and Mark Kotsay of Cal State Fullerton did it in 1995 against USC when the Titans won the national title. Meanwhile, Rick Courier struck out the side in the first inning, and the freshman throws strike 1 to the cleanup hitter, Andrew Beinbrink. Beinbrink led the Pac-10 and runs batted in this year with 82. He takes a ball high. Only one player has ever hit 3 homers in a game at the College World Series. And that was not in a championship game. That was J.D. Drew of Florida State. Better known these days as the player who's been sitting on the sidelines for quite a while, failing to sign a deal with the Philadelphia Phillies, drafted again this week by St. Louis. But Drew hit 3 in a game in '95 here against USC. And Gore will have probably several opportunities to tie that record the way this one's going today. Beinbrink takes ball 3, 3-1. Wow, you'd think one of our own staff members had put that banner together, but just a good-natured fan here in Omaha, as they all seem to be at this event. And Beinbrink walks, so the Sun Devils have their first base runner. Coming up next, third round coverage of the Kemper Open. Fred Funk has sizzled in the first 2 rounds, already 12 under par, and he owns a 3-shot lead over 3 others. The Kemper Open coming up next here on CBS Sports. Jeff Phelps, the first baseman, at 344. Beinbrink certainly not likely to be running down by 8. And Currier threw ball 1 to Phelps. Phelps, a freshman from Yuma, Arizona. And he takes a strike. Now, would you imagine Fred down by 8? What's the approach for the hitters? Do they go up there taking a lot of pitches and making Currier throw strikes?
Well, that's his MO anyway. He's going to throw a lot of pitches. He gets deep into the count because he's a strikeout pitcher. But you want to take a strike when you're down. You need base runners.
1-2 the count on Phelps. There have been a couple of cool days here, but other than that, the weather has been perfect once again in Omaha, which next season will host this event for the 50th year, and they're already planning major celebrations. They're going to spend $3 million more to upgrade this stadium, which is already a terrific facility and the home of the Omaha Royals, the AAA team of the Kansas City Royals. We're going to add a concourse outside the main gate. Foul ball. We're planning an opening ceremony for next year and all kinds of great festivities. And every year when you think they can't do much of a better job hosting the event, they find a new wrinkle to make it even a little bit better.
You know, Sean, one nice thing about this ballpark, it's really fan friendly. You look around here, there's really not a bad seat in the house, and the people are right on the field. It looks like some of the best seats are in the bleachers. I mean, they look like they're like Wrigley Field. I mean, they're just right on top of you.
Beinbrink is running down by 8, and it's a base hit in right field by Phelps. Beinbrink on his way to third as the ball is played by Tice Hurst. And if you've been watching the College World Series, you know that no lead is safe. And there's a long way to go in this one, and certainly Pat Murphy's rolling the dice early. He generally wouldn't run down by 8.
I mean, if you run down by 8, you better get to second base standing up. Obviously, Currier's not really concerned with Beinbrink over there, and he got a great jump. A nice piece of hitting here by Phelps. Hits behind the runner, and then Arizona State's in business here. First and third, nobody out.
Well, that's the first hit for ASU. USC leads 8-0. But still just the bottom of the second. Here's Dustin DeLucchi hitting .223. And he's been much better. The College World Series, another example of a guy who has stepped up in the bright spotlight here in Omaha. He's at .417 in the 3 games here. 5 for 12, including a double. Looking for his first run batted in of the College World Series. 2-0 the count. Andrew Beinbrink is the runner at third base. And at first, Jeff Phelps, nobody out. DeLucchi's a sophomore from Burlingame, California. And that's California, a bit laid back, and Coach Murphy's been telling him he wants DeLucchi to play more like Pete Rose. And Murphy said, maybe I made a coaching mistake in stressing that to Dustin, because he just doesn't seem to have the personality to play that way, but he is a gamer and has come through lately.
Well, there aren't too many guys that play baseball like Pete Rose that I am aware of, but that's certainly a lofty aspiration, and he's doing it in the College World Series.
Megan bunt, makes contact, and he slices that one foul. And Murphy is taking a chance a bit with DeLucchi. Coach Murphy said yesterday, we have players on the bench who are more talented than Dustin DeLucchi, but we just have confidence in him in the big game situations.
Sean, I think we should point out that ASU did score 24 runs against USC earlier in the season, so they know that they can score against this pitching staff.
And that was in a game started by Rick Courier. A foul ball. Many of the Trojans referred to that 3-game series in ASU as the low point of the season. They lost 3 games to the Sun Devils by a combined score of 49-12. At the time they were playing without Greg Hanoyan. They were playing without their top 2 catchers. DeLucchi chops it to second. They'll try to turn 2. Davidson to first. Not in time. And a run scores. Beinbrink across the plate to make it 8-1 as DeLucchi picks up his first run batted into the College World Series.
Well, this is what Courier had in mind here. Get the ball on the ground. Let's get some outs here with this kind of lead that he has. Rachels makes a nice feed to Davidson. Off balance throw. Boy, he showed some kind of arm right there. He had no feet under him, and he just gunned it over to first base. It's a little bit better to take the extra step, set yourself, and then throw the ball so you don't make a wild throw to first.
Davidson has demonstrated a terrific arm in this College World Series. Now Casey Myers, another freshman, has had a fine year. Go to first. Keep an eye on DeLucchi. Myers is the second leading hitter on their team, 374. Has been struggling a bit lately. Coach Murphy said through most of the year Myers was clearly their best hitter. And he's had some back stiffness lately, hasn't hit as well. Now Coach Murphy thinks it could be a mental thing, but he's had some good days of batting practice the last couple of days, and he's in there today. He wasn't a certainty to be in the starting lineup as of yesterday. Pulls it sharply foul. 1 ball and 1 strike. DeLucchi back to first. He has 2 stolen bases, has been thrown out twice trying to steal. The 1-1 from Rick Courier, swung on and missed. Myers, an outstanding student, arrived this year at ASU already with 27 college credits as a result of what he did in high school. He missed 1 question on the SAT.
That's incredible. Yeah. I'm sure it drives him nuts.
Check swing, and that'll be a bloop hit. The break for the Sun Devils, and they can use as many of those as they can muster. Check swing, base hit. You see how far the ball goes on a check swing off the aluminum bat. That landed in almost mid-range center field.
It was a check swing, but from up here it sounded like a full swing. Whack! Well placed, and right now this is what ASU needs. They need a few breaks. That's a good pitch from Courier, down and away slider. Myers just trying to protect the plate. Dunks it into center field.
2 men on and 1 out. Greg Halverson will be the next hitter, and he'll wait as pitching coach John Savage goes to the mound. Savage calls the pitches for the battery. Some of the veteran pitchers on the staff will occasionally shake off, but Courier's a freshman. We asked him yesterday about shaking off the pitch called from the dugout. He said, I never shake it off. Just doesn't want to risk incurring the wrath of Savage or Gillespie if something goes wrong.
Yeah, that's usually reserved for senior pitchers, the ability to shake off a coach. When you're a freshman, you get the sign, you say, yes, sir, that's what I'm throwing.
The ERA Championship Series continues tomorrow at 1 Eastern Time as the nation's top athletes look to shatter the record books at the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships. That's tomorrow at 1. The ERA Championship Series on CBS Sports. No chance for ASU to get back into the game quickly. Down 8-1, but with 2 men on. And the ball down and in to Halverson. Playing for the championship today. Neither coach is going to linger too long with a pitcher who starts to struggle. We certainly have seen that in the case of Arizona State. And Mike Gillespie has Jason Lane warming up in the Southern California bullpen. Halverson takes a strike. Halverson not the full-time catcher. He's divided the chores behind the plate with Jeremy Jones. Jones actually started more games behind the plate. Halverson lines it to left. And it falls in front of Hanoyan. He tried to deke the runners, but could not. And the bases are loaded. That's a couple of bloop hits. Looked like a ball that might be caught, Fred, but Hanoyan's had a hamstring problem that caused him to leave the game yesterday in the late innings. You wonder if he was reluctant to really charge hard because of the bad leg.
Well, that's a real good point, Sean. You can see the ball out over the plate, and Halverson's 6'4". That's just where he wants it. And again, the wind is blowing a little bit left to right, so anything hit to left field softly is going to die quickly. And you made a great point. He does have a hamstring pull, and the last thing you need to do when you have a hammy is the initial quick start.
The bases are loaded in the bottom part of the order. The guys with lower batting averages than we're accustomed to seeing in college baseball are getting the job done for the Sun Devils. Here's the number 9 hitter, Michael Collins. Infield at double play depth, creeping in at the corners. Collins takes a strike. That was borderline at best. Collins, a junior from Phoenix, is hitting .284. But he's at .308 here at the College World Series. Outfield plays him around to right. Check swing. They appeal to the first base umpire. Wade Ford said it was not a swing. 1-1 the count.
Here's a check swing attempt by Collins. You can see that's a good call.
And the umpires are here on merit. This will be the 25th pitch of the inning for Currier, who breezed through the first, striking out the side. That's up and away. 2 balls and 1 strike. Bases full of Sun Devils. Runner at third, Dustin Tolucci. At second, Casey Myers. And at first, Greg Halverson. Collins just 1 hit and 7 tries with the bases full this season. Mike Gillespie said yesterday that Collins is a very underrated college player. He thinks he's the Sun Devils' unsung hero. He drives that to deep left, way back and gone. A grand slam by the underrated Michael Collins.
Well, normally Michael Collins, a hitter with not much power, but Rick Currier has lost some of that confidence on that outside corner, and he came inside, and all of the home runs we've seen today thus far are on the inner half of the plate. And he cleared those hips, and he got just enough of it to get out of here. And we've got a brand new ball game, partner.
It shouldn't come as any surprise to those who follow the College World Series. This is typical. 8-5 in the second inning. Still just 1 out. Willie Bloomquist, the leadoff hitter, with a swing and a miss. He was called out on strikes in the first inning. Well, Michael Gillespie yesterday turned out to be somewhat of a prophet. He was raving about Michael Collins, who doesn't receive a lot of attention when you talk about ASU. Collins hits the big grand slam. And all of a sudden it's come apart for Courier here in the second. Bloomquist with a base hit. Courier's given up 5 hits in the inning, and now he's in danger of getting the quick hook, as did his opposite number, Ryan Mills.
Really, this is the only ball that's been hit fairly hard other than Collins. Everything else has been blooped, dinked, and dorked. But you know what they say, 2 bloops and a blast, and you're back in the ball game.
And it certainly wasn't a loud rally until the homer, but it's enough to knock out Courier. Jason Lane, the new pitcher. Arizona State climbing right back into it in Omaha. It was a tale of 2 innings for the freshman Rick Courier. He struck out the side in the bottom of the first, but here in the second, he was touched up for 5 runs and 5 hits, including the grand slam by Michael Collins. The leadoff walk in this inning hurt Courier. And here's Jason Lane with a record of 8-2 in 33 games. ERA of 5.55. He is the DH, and now he's the pitcher as well. And here's Rudy Arguelles, who struck out swinging in the first against Courier. Batting with Bloomquist, an excellent base runner at first. And 1 out. Lane's first pitch, a ball high. 33 steals to lead the team for Bloomquist. And there's a ball, 2-0. Lane pitched yesterday. Worked an inning in the third without allowing a hit or a run or a walk. He struck out 2 and finishing off LSU. Combining with Mike Penny on the victory. He was not credited with a save. He missed inside. It's 3-0. And Fred, we're into each bullpen early, but USC is the team that really couldn't afford to have that happen with their pitching staff already chewed up because they've had to play 2 more games here than ASU.
Yeah, Sean, and Etherton and Penny are not available at all for this ball game. And those are their 2 best starters, and you don't have that many starters in college baseball that you would call quality pitchers. So this is not the scenario that they want, that's for sure. Somebody's going to have to throw some innings out there.
There's Mike Penny, who was terrific yesterday in the middle of the 3 players you see. But Mike Gillespie's hope was that he could get through this game using just 3 pitchers. He wanted to get Courier into the second half of the game. That was the goal for the starter. Then use Lane and their great closer Jack Krofcheck. But it seems unlikely he'll be able to use just 3 today, given the work that Lane and Krofcheck have had to do here at the College World Series. Michael Moreno struck out to end the first. Now he's up with men at first and second after the walk to Arguelles. And Moreno is the tying run at the plate.
Well, Sean, right now that with a score 8-5, it's brought everything back into the game. Stealing, hitting, running, bunts. Everything's back.
I'm not sure it was ever out, though, since Coach Murphy had the runner going at the beginning of the inning. The score 8-0. Big rip by Moreno. He has home run power with 11 to tie it with 1 swing. I think the point you made earlier was a terrific one, Fred, about the Sun Devils and their knowledge of Courier. When Courier faced them earlier this season on April 11th, they roughed him around in 2 innings. Rick gave up 6 earned runs, got knocked out of the ballgame. USC went on to suffer the worst loss in the history of the program, 24-4, and that was the last game played between these 2 teams. So perhaps that memory has lingered. Well, as you say, you have to feel for Courier because it really wasn't like he was getting rocked all over the ballpark as Mills was.
But you made an equally good point. You can't walk the leadoff hitter in that inning. 8-0. You throw strikes, throw it right down the middle, let him hit a home run, but you can't walk guys.
Now Moreno is the 9th batter of the inning. They've batted around, still just 1 out. The 1-2 pitch is high. Moreno, a senior from Mesa, Arizona, out of Mesa High School, riding a 14-game hitting streak. His high school also produced Mickey Hatcher, who went on to have a fine major league career. He was known as a fun-loving character when he played Major League Baseball.
He played pretty loose.
Moreno just exactly the opposite. He's very intense, known for occasionally getting in the face of teammates when he feels it's necessary. He lines that to center. Jeremy Freitas the catch. Bloomquist back to tag up, and he takes third. First and third and 2 down. Here's the man who started the inning, Andrew Beinbrink. He drew a walk and scored for the first run of the inning. Lane trying to end the ASU rally here in the second. It was 8-0 USC after an inning and a half, but Arizona State has scored 5 times here in the second.
Sean, these ASU hitters are going up there with a very aggressive attitude right now. It really behoove Lane to start throwing a few of those changeups. And he's got a good one. He really turns it over to right-handed hitters. And you need to let these guys think about something else besides fastball, breaking ball, everything hard.
Fastball, curveball, change, the repertoire of Lane. Best pitch, changeup. 2-0 the count on Beinbrink. 29 2-out RBIs to lead the team, and a chance for more here. He's also tied with Moreno for the team lead in homers with 11. They have only 2 players in double figures in homers. Both of them have 11. There's 54 homers for the year for ASU. 11 of them belong to Beinbrink, the league leader in runs batted in.
Anytime you see a guy with that many RBIs with that few home runs, he gets a lot of 2-out hits. I mean, he's moving the ball around the yard a lot, and he likes to hit with men in scoring position.
One negative for Beinbrink offensively, a very long swing. Tends to strike out with regularity. And he takes ball 4 as Lane missed down and away. And now the tying run is aboard, and the Sun Devils could take the lead with one swing, as unlikely as that seemed about 15 minutes ago. Runner at third is Willie Bloomquist. At second, Rudy Arguelles. And at first, Andrew Beinbrink, who's now walked for the second time in the inning. I mentioned the great rivalry. They're certainly familiar with each other. And it's been one-sided when they've met in the College World Series championship game. It's happened 3 times prior to this year, all in the 70s, and all 3 won by the University of Southern California. And they meet in the championship game for the 4th time. And that's the most meetings between the same 2 teams. I mentioned at the top of the telecast, it's the 3rd time we've had 2 teams from the same conference. Last year, LSU and Alabama. Back in '88, Stanford beat Arizona State. But times have changed. Fred, you were part of the rivalry back in the early 70s when these 2 programs were dominant in college baseball. But back then they had all kinds of scholarships. They used them. Other schools didn't. Now everybody has the same number of scholarships. We look at Mike Weibling in the bullpen. 11.7. So that spreads out the talent. And it's much harder to dominate than it was back 20 years or so ago when these 2 schools did that.
It's really hard to dominate when your tuition at your school, your university, is pretty high and maybe somebody else isn't. You know, kids can't afford to go there if you can't give them a full ride. They just can't do it, so they go somewhere else.
Lane missed with ball 1 to Jeff Phelps. Phelps had that hit and run single earlier in the inning. And he hits that high in the air in center. The breeze blowing toward right takes it in that direction, and the catch is made by Freitas on the warning track. Now the Sun Devils are right back in it, thanks in large part to the grand slam by Michael Collins. It's 8-5 USC after 2.
as surprised as anybody when it went over the fence. You know, I'm jumping up and down. I couldn't believe it. And, you know, that's what you play sports for right there, that moment, because, you know, your teammates rush you at home plate. I'm on the bottom of that pile, you know, trying to gasp for air. But it was, you know, it's the most exhilarating experience. It's a rush you can't match.
No matter how many times you see that clip, Fred, it is an experience we share with Warren Morris. Just to imagine what that must have been like for him, his team down by a run heading into the bottom of the ninth. He had not hit a home run all year due to hand and wrist injuries that really prevented him from turning on the ball, and he lined one over the fence, a 2-run homer to give them a 1-run victory over Miami. LSU back in 1996 was 21-0, and they had Warren Morris in the starting lineup. He's now playing Double-A ball for the Tulsa Drillers in the Texas Rangers organization. But that was the most dramatic finish in the history of the College World Series. The first time it ended on a home run. Perhaps we'll have a similar finish today. Jason Lane's pop-up caught by the second baseman, Willie Bloomquist. Lane is now the pitcher. He started as the DH. And he's now 1 for 2. And the next batter is Jeremy Freitas, and he is one of our academic all-stars today. The academic all-stars recognize one player on each team for academic excellence. Freitas and Willie Bloomquist are today's selections. Freitas at the plate, a senior, psychology major, a 3.2 grade point average. Bloomquist, a sophomore business major, at 3.4. And Freitas looked at strike one.
You got to like Bloomquist because they got Casey Myers over there, missed one question on the SAT. So Bloomquist must be he must be pretty sharp.
Yes, indeed. In addition to being a terrific college baseball player. Well, Freitas has won a number of honors this year. Honorable mention All Pac-10 as an outfielder. We mentioned the note last week, but if you didn't see the telecast, he was named to the 1998 All-American Farm Team by Successful Farming magazine. That's chopped to short. Michael Collins from shallow left to throw off the bag, and Freitas is safe. Tough play for Collins. It was a slow chopper. It sent him onto the outfield grass.
Well, you can see where Michael Collins is playing initially. He's already on the grass. I mean, he's playing too deep. When he gets this ball right now, there aren't many people in this world that can make a throw from that position and get somebody. And Freitas doesn't run very well. But he's just playing too doggone deep. I know the ball gets to you in a hurry, but you got to shorten up about 5 or 6 steps there because every play is a tough play when you're that far back.
It's been scored a hit. Freitas is 2 for 2. That's the third hit given up by Aaron Kramer, the reliever, who misses up and in to Seth Davidson. Davidson, the freshman from San Diego, had an infield hit comebacker that struck the pitcher Mills, and Davidson came around to score in the second inning. The runner goes. It's chopped up the middle. Bloomquist has to go to first, and he goes there for the out. And Freitas is erased 4-6, and Davidson is safe on the fielder's choice.
Little hit and run baseball here by the Trojans. You can see that Freitas is picking up the hitter because it's definitely hit and run. You never do that if you're on a straight steal. He wanted to see where the ball was going. Bloomquist catches the ball and he only has one play to first, so the Trojans have another runner in scoring position.
That's Freitas at second. Davidson out. Assumed Freitas was going to be out 4-6. Misspoke, obviously. He's at second base. Davidson out 4-3, and the batter is Wes Rachels, who singled and scored in the first and hit a 3-run homer in the second. Only 6 career home runs for Rachels, a senior, so that home run is a rarity. 2 of the 6 hit at the College World Series. He also had one the last time the Trojans were here in '95. 8-5. USC leads in the third. They've scored in each of the first 2 innings. Trying to make it 3 innings in a row with a run. Freitas, we mentioned his selection to the All-American Farm Team. as chosen by Successful Farming magazine. That's an honor that goes to athletes who have a farming background. Freitas' family has a cotton farm near Fresno in Hanford, California. And Jeremy was named the team captain of the magazine's baseball squad. They chose a half dozen or so players. And resulted in a donation of $1,000 to USC. So it's an interesting team, but USC's happy to have the money.
Yeah, you bet. You know, I don't remember seeing that class when I was at USC. I missed that one. Otherwise, I'd probably taken it. Farming. I'm sure he doesn't get ribbed by his fellow teammates about that.
Well, he's just so happy to be back playing. Back in 1993, Jeremy Freitas severely broke his arm in a dune buggy accident. Doctors told him he'd never play again. Here he is 5 years later in the championship game. Rachels with a big hit to center field. Freitas waved around third. Arguelles with a throw to the plate. That is too high. And it's 9-5 Southern California. And the high throw allowed Rachels to get into second base.
Boy, Wes Rachels loves playing in the College World Series. He dazzled the last time he was here, and he's doing it again. There's a good pitch, that knuckle curve from Kramer. Takes it right up the gap. Rudy Arguelles here has no chance at the plate here. Be better served hitting the cutoff man and keeping the runner from getting into scoring position. But this is all brought on by the hit and run. Got a hit and run. It was the double play grounder. Now they don't get two, and the Trojans get another run.
Rachels is 3 for 3 with 2 singles and the homer. Greg Hanoyan fouls one off to the left. USC has 10 hits already. 9 runs, 10 hits for Southern California. 5 runs, 5 hits for Arizona State. Hanoyan walked and scored on the 3-run homer by Rob Gore in the first inning. He struck out swinging against Aaron Kramer, the reliever, who's still on the mound in the second. Hanoyan sends that down the left field line, and the catch is made in fair territory by Dustin DeLuca. 1 run in the third for USC. It's 9-5 Trojans heading to home half of the third in Omaha.
Back in Omaha, bottom of the third, 9-5 USC, and we are sitting in the stands right now with former Major League All-Star Bob Horner, who was also a member of the 1977 USC National Championship team. You drove, what, 10 hours last night from Texas just to be here? You're getting your money's worth.
Well, my wife and my oldest boy were on vacation, just come back in town, and they made it to the finals, and I wanted to be here, and the flights schedule coming into Omaha was nuts, so we just decided to drive.
Now, we noticed earlier that you are not wearing your national championship ring. Why don't you tell everybody what you did with it?
Well, last night there was a little reception at the hotel, and Coach Murphy a little nervous, you know, as would be expected, and I had my ASU national championship ring, and I took it off and I gave it to him, and I said, just as kind of a good luck token. It says ASU 2, USC 1. I thought that was kind of an omen, so hopefully we'll pull it out today.
And you think he might have been rubbing the finish off of it in that last inning?
Well, I hope so. I know he's glad they put a 5 spot up there.
All right, thanks so much. Back to you, Sean.
Well, it certainly won't be 2-1 today, and I wonder if Coach Murphy's going to run out of pockets for all the good luck charms. Andrea told us about the lucky rock earlier. Now he has Bob Horner's ring. Dustin DeLuca, the leadoff hitter here in the third for ASU. 2 balls and a strike to count. Dustin reached on a fielder's choice, knocked in a run last inning, and scored one of the 5. Jason Lane missed inside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Lane came in last inning, was not charged with any of the runs. He did walk 2. He got the final 2 outs of the inning. Rick Currier, the starter, went an inning and a third, and he allowed all 5 runs on 5 hits. He walked 1, struck out 3. Currier threw 43 pitches in an inning and a third. The 3-2 to DeLuca, chopped to second. Rachel's on the move, got him by a running step. After the game, touch base with CBS Sportsline for a complete wrap-up of the College World Series. Plus, check out the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association Super Team and Player of the Year. It's all at cbs.sportsline.com. One out. The batter is Casey Myers. who singled and scored on the Collins grand slam last inning. His dad Clint played at ASU. You remembered Clint Myers?
Yeah, I played against Clint a lot. He was a very fine catcher for ASU.
Back in the early 70s, he also wore the number 22.
In fact, I think his son has inherited his dad's speed on the bases.
As a matter of fact, Coach Murphy said yesterday Casey Myers is the slowest human being. He is actually concerned that Myers could get thrown out at first base on a hit to right field. But he can hit. The 1-2 from Jason Lane is a fastball outside. Myers, a first-team freshman All-American. He takes ball 3 low, the off-speed pitch. That's ripped to left, a base hit. And with as slow as Coach Murphy described him, you'd expect Casey to be about halfway to first right now, but he is at first base safely on a single to left with 1 out.
Sean, you know what I've noticed so far is you see the 3-2 pitch and he gets a fastball and he hammers it. That no one is fooling anybody out here. I mean, these two teams know each other. It's like an inter-squad game. And Lane's changeup is really ineffective because the Arizona State players know about it and they're not swinging at it. They're just waiting for the fastball to get up there and then they're whacking at that.
Greg Halverson took a strike. Halverson singled and scored on the Collins grand slam last inning. 9-5 Southern California in the 3rd. Check swing and it's a ball. We wonder how long Lane will be able to go. This is the 6th game of the College World Series for USC, and Lane has appeared in 4 of them, including yesterday's game. They do have a right-hander, Steve Immel, warming up in their bullpen. On the inside corner, strike 2.
Plus, Sean, he's the everyday DH, so even though he's DH, and yes, well, that's not expending a lot of energy, but mental energy it is. And going back and forth, that's tough on a player.
Swing and a miss. And Halverson strikes out with the 2nd out of the inning. That's the first strikeout of this outing for Jason Lane.
Here you see a little bit of a breaking ball from Lane. Halverson, that's a pitch he hit for a base hit. His first time up, out and away from him, but this one drops down and into him. Swings right over the top. Very tough for a big man to recoil or bring his hands in to handle that down and in breaking ball from a left-hander.
2 outs, a runner at first for Collins. He hits that to left field. Didn't quite get all of it this time. He's now 1 for 2 after his grand slam last inning. So the game is settling down a little bit after 3 innings, still 9-5 Southern California. Rob Gore will begin the 4th inning for USC. He has already hit 2 home runs today to tie the championship game record at the College World Series. In the 1st inning, he hit a 3-run homer off the starter Ryan Mills. And in the 2nd inning, he hit a solo shot over everything and left off reliever Aaron Kramer. He's 2 for 2 with 2 homers and 4 runs batted in. And a chance to set a championship game record with another home run. He takes a strike. Gore, Eric Munson, Morgan Ensberg. Hitters 3, 4, and 5 against Kramer. Kramer's pitched 2 innings of relief and has given up 3 runs. 1-1 the count. Kramer is a senior, but this is his first year at Arizona State. Little dribbler off the end of the bat. It spins foul. Kramer spent 2 years in junior college and then transferred to Grand Canyon University, not far from Arizona State. He suffered an abdominal injury there in 1996. It was not properly diagnosed. They told him it was a strain, but it never got any better. 13 months went by. He couldn't pitch. Finally, it was correctly diagnosed, and he had double hernia surgery in May of last year. In all, he was out of baseball for 20 months. During that time that he was away, he finished up all of his coursework and graduated from Grand Canyon University, but he still had baseball eligibility left. So when he got healthy this winter, he approached Pat Murphy about trying out for the team, saying that he would go to ASU as a grad student. Coach Murphy worked him out, was very impressed by what he saw, and Kramer joined the season just as it was getting underway in January. And he's become a stalwart out of the bullpen. Last week he was drafted in the 18th round by the San Diego Padres.
That's a great story. You know, you love a kid like that. He just never gives up. You know, just keeps on chugging, and now he gets drafted by a big league club. And he's graduated to boot. So, you know, he's got it all going for him right now.
As a coach, that's the kind of story you dream about. A guy with that kind of talent just walking in saying he wants to play. Bounce to second. Bloomquist to Phelps for the out. So they finally retire Gore and get him to keep it in the ballpark. One out in the top of the fourth. 9-5 USC. Eric Munson singled in the first, grounded out in the second. 1 for 2. A sophomore from San Diego. Well hit to left. DeLucchi makes the catch right in front of the wall. The breeze blowing across the field from left to right served to knock that ball down a little bit. On another day here, the typical day with the breeze blowing straight out, that ball's probably out of here.
Yeah, Sean, that's a great point, because when a left-hander hits a ball to left field, the ball's always going to spin towards the line, and when the wind's blowing the opposite direction, it's going to knock it straight down. And those are the kind of things you have to know when you play the outfield, and you check the wind conditions almost on a pitch-by-pitch basis at this park.
Morgan Ensberg pulled the first one foul. He bounced into a double play in the first and was hit by a pitch in the second. He's trying to make it 2 national championships in his family this year. His brother Larson plays soccer at UCLA. He played on their national championship team. Morgan regularly heads over to the UCLA campus to watch his brother play soccer. Ensberg has started every game at third base for USC over the last 2 seasons. In the hole here, 0-2. Kramer missed low and away. And he's had big performances in their wins against ASU in Los Angeles and struggled in the 3-game series when the entire team struggled at ASU when they lost all 3. He rips that to deep left, but it's hooking foul.
Sean, if that graphic is any indication, I'm looking for ASU to score some more runs, because he doesn't have any hits yet. Well, he spanks this ball here. You don't want to get the ball inside with him. You can see that he's choking up. Not many college hitters choke up anymore when there's 2 strikes, but he does to protect the plate.
Another chopper foul. Ensberg, the team leader in homers with 21. I mentioned that this year the Trojans have hit a school record 112 home runs, shattering the old mark of 85 back in 1984. And USC has 6 players in double figures in homers this year. No other Trojan team ever had more than 3 players with double-digit home runs. And you're talking about a school that has had great hitters. 38 first-team All-Americans. More than 70 players have gone on to the big leagues out of USC, including Fred Lynn, Ron Fairley, Mark McGuire, the subject of home runs, Brett Boone, Jeff Cirillo, great pitchers like Randy Johnson and Tom Seaver. 3-2 the count.
I really like the way Kramer's working Ensberg. You know, Kramer's starting to settle down here. He's moving the ball in and out. He's not staying in one particular spot now, and he's making these Trojan hitters guess with him.
Kramer trying for a 1-2-3 inning. And that's a rarity at the College World Series. Payoff pitch to Ensberg. Another chopper. That's a fair ball right over the bag. Beinbrink. Nice play. Good play by Beinbrink and a good stretch at the other end by Phelps. And it is a 1-2-3 inning. They head to the bottom of the fourth in Omaha. ASU comes to bat trailing by 4 runs. It's a 4-run lead for USC in the bottom of the fourth. Let's rejoin Andrea Joyce.
Welcome to Dingerville, population 14. This makeshift RV community pops up every year during the College World Series, but this is not your typical RV town. They have a mayor, a chaplain, even a security force, and it carries an awful lot of political clout around here. Among those stopping by for lunch this week, Omaha Mayor Hal Daub. And Sean, this is your kind of town. All they do here is talk baseball.
And they have a great time every year at the College World Series. Look like a fun group. Bloomquist a bunt, barehanded by Munson. A nice play. That ball had a lot of spin as it tried to bounce back toward the plate. Munson fielded it cleanly with the bare hand and got the speedy runner Bloomquist for the first out.
That's exactly right, Sean. If he lets this ball bounce with that spin, that has backspin like a 9-iron into a 100-yard shot. You can see that he pops out of there, grips it on a good hop, and makes a strong throw. If that ball hits, it's going to spin right back, and then it's going to be a tough play.
Bloomquist now 1 for 3. Jason Lane missed high to Rudy Arguelles. Arguelles has struck out and walked. The strikeout against the starter Rick Courier, the walk against Lane. Lane's in 1 time through the batting order now and has allowed just 1 hit. He's in with a strike. 1-1. And it was big for him to get Bloomquist. Mike Gillespie said yesterday a key to this game is to keep Bloomquist off base. He's really a catalyst for the ASU offense. 2 balls and a strike now on Arguelles. I mentioned earlier he's a 26-year-old senior and with a very touching story. He slaps it to short. It's bobbled, and safe at first is Arguelles on an error by Davidson. First error of the ball game by either team.
Well, you don't see this very often from Seth Davidson. Normally a sure-handed shortstop. Gets down. He's in good position. Looked like he just took his eye off it at the last second, anticipating the throw to first. Comes up on him. Doesn't make the play. You don't see that very often from him. He's in good position. Ball hits his bare hand instead of the back of his glove.
So the error has Arguelles at first. Moreno takes the ball high and a quick throw by Munson down to first, and Arguelles is back. Out of high school in Corona, California, Rudy Arguelles went to Riverside Community College in California. While he was there, his grandmother became ill. His grandmother and grandfather raised him after his parents were divorced about 10 years earlier. Grandmother, when she became ill, lost her job, so Rudy had to leave community college to go to work and support his family. He was out of school for 4 years. Started out initially working in a rock quarry near Santa Ana, California, where he'd spent 10 hours a day in a small dark tunnel chipping away at rocks and throwing them onto a conveyor belt. While he was doing that job, he got married to his high school sweetheart Michelle in 1992. And 2 months before she was to deliver their first child, Rudy III, who's now 5 years old, Rudy was one of 31 people laid off from the job at the rock quarry. You can imagine what he was experiencing, needing to support a growing family and out of work. So he took a job in a corrugated box factory. So he'd throw 100-pound pallets of cardboard around. While doing that, he injured his back. When he was out of work again, and he and Michelle decided that the best hope for their future was if he got back to college and got an education. So he talked the coach at Riverside into letting him come back, but He had to try out for the team. 300 players tried out. The initial tryout, he was the 85th player out of 85 who survived that cut. Then when they cut it down to 50 to make the team, he was the 50th player. He was rusty after being out for 4 years. Wasn't even traveling with the varsity when he first started out at Riverside. 2-2 pitch popped up in foul ground. Gore over, can't get it. The coach at Riverside said Arguelles won him over again when Rudy drove 2 hours to a game to see the varsity team play. When he wasn't even playing, he just wanted to go down and take notes and observe and see how things were going for the big team. One of the players got hurt. Arguelles had his uniform with him, put it on, went out and played, was in the lineup ever since, and then wound up transferring back to Arizona State. And here he is, a senior, and he had tears in his eyes yesterday when he told us about being drafted by the Angels this week in the 47th round. He's going to give it a shot in professional baseball. And I know we both got misty-eyed when he told us the story yesterday about Coach Murphy coming up to him earlier in the week right before a game, said, I don't want to distract you, but I want to congratulate you because you've been drafted by the Angels. And Rudy told the coach, please leave him alone because he didn't want to cry in front of him. Base hit to left by Moreno. Arguelles running on the pitch is on to third base. First and third and one out for Arizona State in the 4th inning. They're down by 4 and trying to inch closer still.
Well, Murphy is he's not afraid to run just 4 runs down because he ran when he was down 8. So he's going to start his runners. In fact, a lot of his runners have the green light, so they may be going on their own. But in this case, it worked out well because Moreno, who does have power for this club, smacks one to left field, and they got first and third, and they're back in business again.
Runners at the corners with 1 out. Arguelles at third and Moreno at first. And the big bats in the lineup coming up. Andrew Beinbrink has walked twice. He scored after drawing the leadoff walk in the 2nd, the inning in which ASU scored all 5 of its runs. Swing and a miss.
This is one of the few times that Beinbrink has been fooled today. Comes up in a situation where runners in scoring position. Maybe thought he was going to get a fastball. Got that off-speed breaking ball we talked about down and in, and Sean alluded to his long swing. We just saw it.
1 strike pitch is high. Well, we took you to Dingerville. Here's another highlight of life just outside Rosenblatt Stadium. All kinds of food. Zesto's doing big business again with the milkshakes. Throw to second. Safe is Moreno. Down by 4. They're still running with regularity, and Moreno has the stolen base, his 27th of the year.
Moreno really set up Lane. The first pitch to Beinbrink, he had no lead. There he doesn't have much of a lead either, but he's going all the way. A lot of times base runners will shorten up their lead just a bit when they know they're going, so they can lean towards second and not have to be worried about diving back towards first base, and makes it easily.
Now 2 men in scoring position, and a ball up and away to Beinbrink. Arguelles at third, Moreno now at second. Beinbrink drives it to center. Freitas retreating, and he makes the catch on the warning track. Both runners tag up. Arguelles has scored, and on to third goes Moreno, and it's 9-6. Beinbrink adds to his league-leading total. 83 runs batted in for the year now for the junior from San Diego.
Sean, good teams take advantage of other teams' mistakes. This inning started out with an error by the usually dependable shortstop Seth Davidson. Then a couple running plays get runners in scoring position, and then the best RBI man on the club and in the Pac-10 delivers in the clutch.
And it is an unearned run in the subsequent runs would be unearned as well. Jeff Phelps almost took the standing 8 count, self-inflicted. After that big swing and a miss, he manages to smile about it. He singled to right in the second inning and flied to center to end the second. He batted twice as they sent 11 men to the plate. 1-1 the count. This run unearned, the first charge to Jason Lane. Jeff's a freshman. Coach Murphy says he's still learning to hit. A little bit too much of a free swinger right now for the coach's liking. Been playing lately with a bad hip. Close, but a ball, says the home plate umpire Dick Runchie. 3 balls and a strike. Swing and a miss, and now a full count. There's Dick Runchie, a fixture at the College World Series, working his 5th championship game, the 4th time he's been behind the plate. What a great honor that is. And this is his last game. He's retiring as an umpire after today, and we wish him well. Phelps, deep drive to left, way back and gone. A 2-run homer by the freshman Jeff Phelps. Arizona State once down 8-0, now trails 9-8.
Sean, you made a great comment about the coach's comment that he's a free swinger, made to look bad on 2 pitches during this at bat. Then gets a 3-2 pitch right down Broadway, and free swingers, when they connect, they go a long way, and that's why he's in there.
5th homer of the year for Phelps. Now Dustin DeLucchi with a line drive just out of the reach of Davidson. So the Sun Devils have the tying run at first. DeLucchi's first hit, he's 1 for 3.
DeLucchi gets a fastball. He thinks Davidson's caught this ball. He was running to first base with the bat in his hand. He was ready to make a right turn.
And the pitching coach John Savage on his way to the mound. And that might be it for Lane, who has had a tremendous College World Series. It will be. The right-hander Steve Immel has been summoned. USC now clinging to a 1-run lead in Omaha. Jason Lane out of the ball game. What a tremendous College World Series he has had. 13 hits and a number of pitching performances. And we mentioned Zesto's no trip to Omaha would be complete for the College World Series without a visit to Zesto's world famous, right next door, great milkshakes.
I can second that, and for 2 days out of the year we're off our diets.
This is the hot fudge shake, and that sounded like a commercial, but it's really not. It's just a tribute to one of the Omaha traditions here. They do booming box office with good reason during the College World Series. Steve Immel is the new pitcher. Right-hander, a junior, not a big fella, 5'9", 175 pounds, from Lakewood, California. He's in with the tying run at first. The go-ahead run at the plate for Arizona State. Casey Myers, the batter. The freshman's had a perfect day, 2 for 2 with 2 singles and a run scored. Immel's the 3rd pitcher already for USC here in the bottom of the 4th. Rick Courier, the starter, lasted an inning and a third. Then Jason Lane, and now Immel. Fouled out of play to the right.
Sean, Steve Immel is one of the guys we weren't quite sure we were going to see or not. We got a little book on him. He'd get his fastball, kind of a sinking type fastball, almost 90 miles an hour. He's got a pretty good curveball and he's got a good changeup, but you have to wipe off some of the rust because he hasn't been in there very often.
He hasn't pitched at all in this College World Series. Been used mostly in relief this year. 5-1 with a 5.72 ERA in 21 appearances. 3 of them starts. The 2-2 pitch to Myers, chopped slowly down to Ensberg, and he goes across the diamond for the out that ends the inning. 3 unearned runs were put up by ASU, and they're down by only a run now after 4 in Omaha.
I can't believe I can get this close with an electric shaver. This is smooth.
We're introducing men to the power of 3. The new Remington Microscreen 3.
It's so fast.
It gives you 3 things no other shaver can. The most powerful motor of all leading brands, 150 precision cutting edges, and 3 flexing microscreens. Guaranteed to get you incredibly close, incredibly fast. The power of 3. Only with the new Remington Microscreen 3. Built to shave incredibly close.
How are little people doing today?
Just having the Sicilian from Pizza Hut.
How about a slice?
You can't handle the Sicilian. I mean, being a shallow corporate raider can't prepare you for garlic, basil, and oregano, or the blast of cheese, herbs, seasonings in every morsel.
Napkin?
Our new Sicilian pizza only at Pizza Hut. Only $8.99. For the absolute mother of a deal, get up to 3 toppings or any specialty pizza for $2 more.
I hope I wasn't out of line with that shallow corporate raider crack.
The Sicilian pizza from Pizza Hut. Can you handle it?
The NCAA College World Series is sponsored by Pizza Hut, home of the new Sicilian pizza. Can you handle it? Remington's Microscreen 3 shaver, built to shave incredibly close. And by ERA Real Estate, proud sponsor of the ERA Championship Series.
Back in Omaha, we're in the top of the 5th, and this year marks the 50th anniversary of USC's first national championship. The man who guided them to that title, Rod Dado, and thank you so much, Dado. I'm so sorry.
Well, I've
the difference. You've aged 50 years in the last few innings.
In the last few innings, 50 years.
Rod, tell me what the difference between this game. You look around you at how big it has become in that first title game for you.
Isn't that wonderful? The growth of it has been absolutely tremendous. We had a packed house in that game 50 years ago, but that was 7,000 people in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Because there was a difference. The first baseman for that team of Yale we were playing was the captain and first baseman. His name was Bush. His first name was George.
Oh, you have coached so many big-time players in your 45 years at USC. Tell me about Mark McGwire. What do you think? You think he's going to break Roger Maris's home run record?
He's an outstanding boy. Great parents. He has the mental makeup to be able to do it. I remember Tony La Russa telling me in his first year when he was hitting quite a few home runs, he had never seen an individual carry fame like that. And Mark is the type of guy that could stand the pressures of that kind of a race.
Now, what about another one of your former players? He's with us here today, Fred Lynn. Is he really as good, or was he really as good in college as he says he was?
He was better. We called him Freshman Freddie, and I always remember when my son Justin had scouted him. He was a football player and a good one, and a left-hand pitcher. And he played in this ball game with a team against our team because we were getting ready for the playoff. And we had a guy by the name of Dave Kingman pitching who could really fire. And Freddie hit a line shot down the right field line. And I'd asked Justin where he came from. And after he hit that shot, I said, wait a minute. Don't anybody touch this guy. He's mine. I'll do all the talking there is to Freddie. Freddie was outstanding.
Rod Dado, thanks so much. You've cleared it up. We'll never give him a bad time again. Back to you guys.
Thank you.
Brad Ticehurst tried to bunt his way on, and Aaron Kramer was off the mound quickly. It certainly would never correct Coach Dado, one of the great legends in all of college sports, but there's no way Fred could be any better than he actually says he is.
Thanks, John. Here you see a little bit of a surprise. Ticehurst, who has 3 home runs in the College World Series, but he had struck out 5 straight times. Last time he popped up, so he's trying to get on base any way he can because he feels like he's lost his stroke a little bit. That's good playing.
Jason Lane, the DH. Back as the DH. He was the DH, the pitcher, now the DH. And he is attacking the College World Series record book with 13 hits, 1 short of the record 14 hits in one College World Series set last year by Joe Caruso of Alabama. Lane has doubled and popped up today. He's tied the record for total bases in the College World Series, 26, set by Jeff Jenkins of USC in 1995. And with the double, he's tied the record for doubles with 4, held by 11 others. Pop up the second. Some of the names on that list of doubles, 4 in a College World Series, are familiar. Sal Bando, Spike Owen, Barry Bonds, Robin Ventura, and John Bacabella, among others, with 4 doubles in one College World Series, a record tied by Lane today. Two outs and the base is empty. Aaron Kramer, after a rough start, has settled into a groove. Retired 6 USC hitters in a row. Freitas sends one a long way down the left field line. DeLucchi makes the catch. Dustin DeLucchi with an acrobatic grab along the left field line. He put the finishing touches on a 1-2-3 inning with an exclamation point. Wasn't sure he needed to dive, but he added some style points. Halfway through the ball game, 9-8, Southern California. CBS Sports proud to present this ERA Championship Series event, the 1998 College World Series Championship game. Dustin DeLucchi with the most recent highlight, the tumbling catch along the line. 50 years in Omaha next year. All of us at CBS Sports are looking forward to coming back for that. Here's Greg Halverson leading off the 5th for ASU. He has singled and scored back in the 5-run second. He struck out swinging in the 3rd. Facing reliever Steve Immel, who came in last inning. Got a ground out to end the inning with the tying run at first. First pitch from Immel, a strike. ASU with 8 runs. 1 run scored by 8 different players. The only start in the lineup was not scored today. The leadoff hitter Bloomquist, and he's been on base once. Was stranded at second.
Sean, even though ASU is down by a run, all the momentum of this game is turned towards their side of the field. Not only they are just 1 run down after being down 8-0, but they're deep into USC's pen, and that was a real concern of Coach Gillespie's going in, and that's the price you pay when you come through that elimination bracket. They've played 5 games and they've used all their stars, and the cupboard is bare.
Coach Gillespie might have to go a long way today with his All-American closer, Jack Krofcheck. A 1-2 from Immel to Halverson, a late swing. He seemed fooled by that pitch over the outside part of the plate, and Halverson strikes out for the 2nd time. With 1 out, here comes Michael Collins. He had the biggest hit of this ball game for ASU. They were down 8-1 when he hit a grand slam in the 2nd inning that got them right back into the ball game. He had just 1 career hit with the bases loaded prior to that grand slam. It was just his 4th home run of the season. And he turned the bunt, got the corners charging, and took a strike. Collins flied to left last time up.
Sean, we've had some run production by some unusual sources. Michael Collins and Wes Rachels, 2 guys that normally don't hit the ball very far, supplied a lot of the power today.
Collins hit the ball to Rachels. Rachels threw him out. Rachels has hit a 3-run homer today and has knocked in 4 of the 9 SC runs. Coming up next on CBS Sports, third round coverage of the Kemper Open live from Potomac, Maryland. Fred Funk has just started his third round through 1 hole. He's still 12 under par where he was after 2 rounds. 2 players tied for second now. Kemper Open coming up next. Blomqvist a bouncer to short. Davidson to Gore for the out. And Immel has come out of the bullpen to retire all 4 men he has faced. A 7-pitch inning. Still 9-8 USC after 5.
Top of the 6th, back in Omaha, USC leads by 1. And I am with Ron Wellman, the new chairman of the NCAA Division I Baseball Committee. Your first year on the job, and you guys are already talking about big changes for this tournament.
Well, we're looking at the possibility of expanding the bracket to 64 teams. Right now we have a 48-team bracket, and we would like to advance it to 64. That would give us an opportunity to increase the regionals from 8 regionals that we currently have to 16 regionals, and then those 4 teams, or those 16 winners, would advance to an 8-team super regional.
Could that happen as early as next year?
Well, we're hoping it will. The board of directors will be voting on that in August, and we're hopeful that it will pass. It has passed the management council and the cabinet, so there hasn't been much opposition to it thus far, and we're hoping that the board of directors will see so.
Everyone's been talking about the offensive explosion in college baseball. Any chance or any talk of possibly going back to a wood bat?
I really doubt that we're going to see wooden bats in college baseball again. I think that you will see maybe some revision in the aluminum bats that we're currently using. Everybody's talking about the power that has been demonstrated in this series, and the bat may have something to do with it, but it's also a fact that the players are much bigger and stronger today than they have been in the past.
Cost you a little more for the baseballs this year. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Andrea. Thanks to Ron Wellman as well. He is the athletic director at Wake Forest, and he makes a key point. Yes, they do have the aluminum bats, but as Skip Bertman, the LSU coach, pointed out to us last week, the players are much bigger and stronger, and there's a lack of quality pitching because generally the best pitchers coming out of high school get signed by major league teams right out of high school. Those organizations are looking for pitching talent, but the pitching so thin in professional baseball, so that's where they spend the money to make sure they get those high school pitchers right into major league organizations.
Sean, one other point is there's a lot of inconsistencies with the balls too. A lot of years they're wound a little tighter than they are in other years.
Seth Davidson with a base hit for USC to begin the 6th inning. Davidson's now 2 for 3.
Well, both bottoms of the order for both ball clubs have been productive. This is a jam shot. Again, now if that's a wooden bat, that probably is caught by the shortstop, but with aluminum, that's what you get. You know, not only do you get home runs, but the ball gets through the infield a little quicker and you get those type of hits. Whereas if you were using wood, but we're not going to, we just heard that.
Throw to first. Keep an eye on Davidson. Aaron Kramer had retired 7 Trojans in a row before that base hit. Big swing and a miss by Rachels. Rachels became a starter at USC late in his freshman year of 1995. Had a great College World Series then, hit .471 to lead USC. They lost in the national championship game. He scored 8 runs in the CWS in '95 to lead the College World Series. And he's doing it again this year. Davidson has 16 stolen bases and thrown out 3 times. Rachels today 3 for 3, a single and a run scored in the first, a 3-run homer, just the 6th home run of his 4-year career in the second, and an RBI single from Mike Gillespie in the third.
get a good look at the lead. With Phelps being a right-handed first baseman, now he's only a freshman. But as a right-hander, you want to make sure your glove is towards the pitcher so you can cut down the time that you have to get to the runner. Ideally, you'd like to have a left-handed first baseman so he can slap the tag on him with his right hand. You can see his glove hand is towards the catcher.
The runner goes. They have a hit and run on, and what a piece of hitting by Rachels. DeLucchi can't get that one with the dive. Davidson coming around to score. Wes Rachels has his 4th hit of the ball game and his 5th run batted in. And he did an amazing job to get the bat on the ball with a hit and run on a pitch up and in. He left his feet, jumped at it. The pitch looked to be about shoulder high, and he pulled it down the line.
These are the kind of things, Sean, you practice during BP. You say, okay, the hit and run is on. You got to hit this ball and put it in play. And Rachels does just that. He's about 5'8". He was 6'3" when he swung at that pitch. Looks like an instant replay from an inning before. DeLucchi just out of his reach makes a nice try. But the runner's gone. Trojans put the ball in play, and boy, that's great fundamental baseball right there.
Well, Rachels is 4 for 4 with 5 runs batted in. ASU is looking for a bunt from Greg Hanoyan. They're up on the grass at the corners. And Hanoyan does bunt. Kramer stepped in front of Phelps and throws to the second baseman, Bloomquist covering. It's a sacrifice. And Rachels is now at third with 1 out.
I like the fact that these hitters square around early. If you're going to sacrifice, it doesn't matter who knows about it. You're trying to give yourself up to advance the runner. So what you're saying is essentially is that we're going to give up an out. So get your bat in preparation early, and that's what he did. He got the bat head up above the ball, laid down a perfect bunt. Got a runner on third base.
Now the infield is in with Rob Gore up there. Gore's 2 for 3, a 3-run homer in the first, a solo homer in the second. He grounded out in the 4th. I mentioned he's tied the championship game record with 2 home runs. And he hits that one very high in the air. Not all that deep in left center. The catch made by Arguelles. His throw to the plate is cut off and relayed home by Phelps, not in time. Rachels scores. And USC takes an 11-8 lead. And Gore has his 5th run batted in.
USC manufactured that run. Here you get to see Arguelles. He's calling off the left fielder because he has a better angle. But he doesn't get any momentum behind this throw. He's flat-footed when he catches the ball. You're taught as an outfielder to always have your momentum going towards the throw. You'd have to have a Dave Winfield type arm to be able to throw flat-footed from that distance. And then the first baseman's not going to cut that throw. That throw is on line. You're never going to get somebody with a cut throw.
Pat Murphy to the mound. Kramer's given him 4 2/3 innings of relief, and that might be it. There is action in the ASU bullpen. So USC's lead is back to 3. It had been narrowed to 1. They once led by 8. 11 national titles, 71 wins, more than any other school at the College World Series, and their winning percentage is best as well.
Well, this, when we were, I think the dominance here, you're seeing that's from the 70s. That's obvious. They haven't been dominant lately. But when we were here, we dominated. We had this on our schedule. And we dominated with pitching and defense. And in those days, we played in the dead bat era. And that's what won championships. You saw a graphic earlier where we beat ASU 4-3 and 1-0. Just tight ball games where one run meant everything. Well, we were fundamentally sound. And that's a lot due to our coach, Rod Dato, as we talked to earlier. And that's why we won those championships.
Saw Chad Pennington and Phil Lowry warming up in the Arizona State bullpen. Coach Murphy will stay with Kramer, who throws a strike to Eric Munson, who's 1 for 3 today, a first inning single. USC has 11 runs on 12 hits. They've made 1 costly error. 8 runs, 9 hits, no errors for Arizona State. Pat Murphy, just 39 years old. He's already won 522 games as a college head coach, youngest ever to reach 500. He's a native of Syracuse, New York. And his mom, Dorothy, was watching back in Syracuse. He asked us to say hello to his mother. 82 years old and the head of the very colorful Murphy clan. We met a couple of Pat Murphy's brothers here yesterday. He has 3 brothers. 2 of them are here, Dan and David. Older brother Dan, 13 years older than Pat, is a huge Boston Red Sox fan. And you met another brother, David, yesterday, who was absolutely thrilled to meet Fred Lynn. And Pat Murphy said it's a good thing Dan didn't meet Fred Lynn, or he might have been speechless.
Yeah, but they were big Sean McDonough fans too. I need to. Oh yes, they were. They're from Syracuse.
That's right, the great Salt City. The 1-2 to Munson, a bullet down to first, and what a play by Phelps. On to Kramer for the out. Well, we've seen all kinds of offense, but plenty of defense too. Heading to the bottom of the 6th inning in Omaha. The Trojans lead by 3. And we welcome you back to the NCAA College World Series on CBS Sports. Sean McDonough with Fred Lynn and Andrea Joyce. Today's game produced by Bob Dacus and directed by Mike Arnold. And it's been another wild one. 19 run score that ties the College World Series championship game record set last year when LSU beat Alabama 13-6. Rudy Arguelles squared to bunt. And he looked at ball 1 high. He has struck out, walked, and reached on the error by Davidson that opened the door for 3 unearned runs in the 4th inning. Steve Immel, the 3rd pitcher of the day for USC, has retired all 4 batters he has faced in his first College World Series appearance. He's gone to 2-0 with Arguelles. Batters 2, 3, and 4 coming up for the Sun Devils. Michael Moreno on deck, then Andrew Beinbrink. And there they are. Arguelles trying to extend a 7-game hitting streak. Foul ball. Mentioned his story. He does have a 5-year-old son. He and his wife Michelle are also expecting their 2nd child. They know that it'll be a baby boy. Michelle's due at the end of the month. Michelle's been home taping all of these College World Series games. But someday young Rudy III and the child be born later this month will have a chance to look back at what their daddy did in the College World Series, and he's done a tremendous amount.
He's a pretty special kid. Well, he's a young man.
Yes.
Man among boys maybe, but boy, it's just what a great story. You know, you just love to hear these kinds of things. You just never quit. He just never quit. And you know, here he is in the pinnacle of college baseball, and who would have thunk it?
Hold to second. Rachels throws him out. We mentioned Arguelles is going to give it a shot in professional ball. He's certainly a long shot to fare well in the Angels organization. You have to give them credit. They're aware of his story, and they used a 47th round draft pick on a 26-year-old, which is unusual. Arguelles talked with his wife Michelle, and he's going to head out and play professional baseball when this is over. He had been interviewing for jobs as a longshoreman. Well, that'll be on hold as he goes to join the Angel organization, he hopes. Michael Moreno fouls one off.
You know, Sean, it would be very hard to bet against a guy like that. You know, you'd say, well, he's got limited tools, he's got this, but he's got the biggest doggone heart you'd ever want to see. And sometimes those are the kind of guys that makes the club go. And, you know, maybe he'll be a 25th guy for somebody. You never know. We're all pulling for him, that's for sure.
Moreno puts a charge into one in left center field. Freitas with the catch on the warning track. That's another ball that On several other days of this College World Series would have been out of here, but the breeze knocked that one down a little bit, and there are 2 down in the ASU 6th.
I've watched Freitas now for a couple of games, and normally he's a flank outfielder, usually a left fielder, because he doesn't have great speed. Here you see Moreno getting most of this ball, but he got it up into that wind, and that's what knocked it down. But Freitas, he takes those little tiny steps. You know, he's not a center fielder. He doesn't want to be out there. Normally Hanoyan's the center fielder, but he's got the bad hamstring, so he's in left.
And certainly, as we saw in that replay, Immel got away with the hanging breaking ball to Moreno. And Immel's retired every batter he has faced. Here's Andrew Beinbrink, who was walked twice and had a sacrifice fly, so not yet an official at bat in this championship game for Beinbrink. Andrew's a junior from San Diego who makes his own clothing. Matter of fact, he says about 90% of the pants and shorts that he wears, he made. Started doing that when he was a youngster. Doesn't mind the ribbing that his teammates give him about spending time at the sewing machine. There's his own little clothing line that he started. Fastball for a strike, 3-1.
Well, that's how some of those companies like No Fear got started doing T-shirts and things. You never know. We may be reading about this guy in Fortune 500.
There's ball 4. Beinbrink has walked 3 times. That's the first Sun Devil to reach base since Immel took to the mound. With 2 outs in the 4th inning. 2 outs in the 6th now. Here's Jeff Phelps. Just made a terrific play to end the top of the inning on a diving stop of a shot off the bat of Eric Munson. Phelps singled in the first, rather in the second, in his first at bat. Flied out to end the second as they batted around. Hit a 2-run homer last time up. The home run came against Jason Lane, who pitched 2 1/3 innings of relief. Gave up 3 runs, all unearned. Lane has really been the MVP of this College World Series, both with his pitching and his hitting. You know, guys like Gore and Rachels are making quite a statement today. Matter of fact, Rachels and Gore for USC have each driven in 5 runs today. That ties the College World Series championship game record.
Sean, normally when the number 4 and 5 hitters, Munson and Ensberg, aren't doing anything offensively, the Trojans struggle to score, but not so today. The rest of the squad's been picking up the slack.
There's a strike on Phelps. He's in the hole, 0-2. (11-8). Southern California has the lead in the bottom of the 6th. 2 outs. Beinbrink at first. I mentioned Rachels and Gore tied the record, 5 runs batted in the championship game. The record had been shared by Bill Horning of Minnesota, Mark Kotsay of Cal State Fullerton. It's the second time we've mentioned their names because they were also the 2 players who had hit 2 home runs in a championship game before. Gore did it today. Horning, Kotsay, and Gore all with 2 homers and 5 runs batted in. Rachels 1 homer and 5 runs batted in today, and 4 for 4. 1-2 on the freshman Phelps. Phelps had a big performance last Sunday against Miami, 3 for 4 in the win over the Hurricanes. He drove in 3 runs. He took a ball inside, 2-2. He was a high school shortstop last year. This year a first baseman and DH. 6 feet, 180 pounds. And he's battled from 0-2 to 3-2. So Beinbrink, a good runner, will be off from first with the payoff pitch to Phelps.
Sean, this was the count that he had last time when he hit the home run. He got a 3-2 fastball, and he showed us he knows what to do with that.
Both bullpens quiet at the moment. The payoff from Immel. Ball 4 down and away. Well, that brings the tying run to the plate. Back-to-back walks with 2 outs. And that brings up Dustin DeLucchi, who has had a busy day in left field.
Coach Pat Murphy wanted him to play like Pete Rose, and that little extra dive was the kind of thing that Pete Rose used to do in the field. Now all he needs to do is hit like Pete Rose.
Today he has 1 hit and 3 at bats, a single. Also picked up an RBI with a fielder's choice back in the 2nd inning, in which he scored a run. John Savage back at the mound. No action in the SC bullpen. Another beautiful day in Omaha, another record crowd on hand. Pat Murphy coaching in his first national championship game before a crowd of 24,456, which is the championship game record. 24,456. They look on as the tying runs at the plate for ASU in the 6th inning. DeLucchi does not have a home run this year, so it's unlikely that he'd rip one out of here. But of all the unlikely things we've seen in this ballpark over the years, it isn't that unlikely. With that crowd that we mentioned, they've also set a record for the entire College World Series. More than 204,000 fans came into Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium since last Thursday, breaking last year's record attendance total by 52 fans. Ball outside, 1-1 on DeLucchi. Weinbrink at second, Phelps at first. 2 outs, 6th inning, 11-8 USC. Borderline strike on the corner. Coaches tell us that during the regular year in college baseball, the strike zone is extremely small. It's become an annual tradition here at the College World Series for it to be a wide strike zone. Skip Bertman, after losing yesterday, the LSU coach praised the umpires for the great job that they have done here. That's low and away. 2-2.
Sean, you'd think it'd be the other way around. You know, you'd think that they would have a generous strike zone during the season, because the college game does take a little bit of time to play, because the pitching isn't quite that good. They're not quite that sharp, so they should bend a little bit.
Yeah, they should make it a wide strike zone all the time. The 2-2 is popped up near the on-deck circle. Munson, the catcher, has it, and ASU leaves 2 men on. Steve Immel, unlikely to be in the game when it started, has been outstanding out of the bullpen, and USC still leads by 3.
At the Kemper Open, British Open winner Justin Leonard is the defending champion here. This is yesterday, a 5-iron at the par 3 17th. Now on day 3, Fred Funk leads by 4 over Tommy Tolles. Coverage coming up shortly.
New pitcher for Arizona State as the 7th inning rolls around. Freshman Chad Pennington. He's had an outstanding season with a 7-2 record and 3 saves. He's from Hamilton, Ohio, just outside Cincinnati. And his first pitch is a strike from Morgan Ensberg. Ensberg, the number 5 hitter, leads off. 0 for 2 with a hit by pitch back in the 2nd inning. Aaron Kramer gave ASU 5 innings. He allowed 5 runs. All earned on 6 hits. He did not walk a man, and Ensberg has a leadoff hit. Kramer struck out 1 hit a batter through 77 pitches while he was in there.
Sean, this is the first at bat where Morgan Ensberg has just tried to hit the ball up the box, and he does. He's been trying to pull every pitch and has not been successful thus far. You can see he stays right on this ball. A good breaking ball down and away and pops it right through the box.
1 strike on Brad Ticehurst. The only player in the game today who has not reached base. 0 for 3, a strikeout, a pop up, and a bouncer back to the mound. Ticehurst got off to a great start in this College World Series. 8 for his first 16, including 3 homers. Now he's 0 for his last 9.
Well, Coach Gillespie told us he was very streaky, but he's in the wrong streak right now. Started off like a house of fire, but he's having trouble putting the bat on the ball the last couple games.
And there's a wide strike zone for Pennington.
You can see the Coach Gillespie relays the signs to the third base coach, and then he relays them to the hitter.
And Ticehurst strikes out. First strikeout for Pennington. Ticehurst now 0 for 4.
Ticehurst has a big long swing. It kind of reminds me of my swing when I got bad, and when you go bad with this long swing, you have trouble catching up with balls that are above your waist. You can see that the ball is above his letters almost, and when you're struggling, you start swinging at just about everything, and right now he is in a definite funk.
First pitch to Jason Lane fouled away. Lane needs a hit to tie the College World Series record for hits in one World Series. 14. He has 13, including a double today. He's only tripping 3 at bats. The last 2 times up, he's popped out to the second baseman Bloomquist. USC leads 11-8. Trojans trying to add to that lead in the top of the 7th. They have Ensberg at first. He is running, hit and run on, and Lane lined it foul into the record crowd. You might expect a freshman like Pennington to be rattled, but Coach Murphy talked about his tremendous poise and competitiveness. And then yesterday when we talked with Chad Pennington, he told us that he pitched in the Little League World Series back in 1991 on a team that finished 7th place in the world. And then last summer he pitched in the Connie Mack World Series with an all-star team from the Cincinnati area. That competition was held in Farmington, New Mexico. So he's a veteran of just about every World Series there is. Now in the College World Series. That's lifted to center field by Lane. Rudy Arguelles to catch. Ensberg went back to tag up. And he won't try for second with 2 down. You asked Pennington yesterday about the socks, the high socks. And he mentioned that last year in the Connie Mack World Series, he went with the 1 high sock and 1 low sock look. He didn't think Coach Murphy would let him get away with that.
No, that's definitely a left-hander's comment right there. I'm waiting for him to throw his knuckleball.
Up the middle, base hit for Jeremy Freitas. Just out of the reach of Pennington and the second baseman Bloomquist. So Freitas is 3 for 4. And the Trojans have 2 runners with 2 outs in the 7th.
Well, Freitas has had a hot bat for the Trojans most of the College World Series, but I want you to watch. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it or not, but the runner Morgan Ensberg, he was taking a look at the third base coach there for a sign. The play's in front of you. That's when you have to decide on your own if you're going to go to third base. You're not going to look for the third base coach in that kind of a situation.
Now the number 9 hitter, Seth Davidson. Trojans looking for more breathing room. They lead by 3 in the 7th. They know how quickly the lead can evaporate. They led 8-0 after an inning and a half. Watched ASU get as close as 1 run at 9-8. Davidson 2 for 3 with a couple of singles and 2 runs scored. Trojans now have 14 hits, 2 balls and no strikes on Davidson. Ensberg at second, Freitas at first. And as Fred mentioned a moment ago, Pennington will occasionally throw a knuckleball, although he told us yesterday he hasn't thrown one yet here in the College World Series. He pitched 3 1/3 innings here prior to today. He was also great in the Midwest Regional. Starting with the Regional, he's thrown 8 1/3 scoreless innings. Coming into this outing. 3-0 is a strike.
Here you get a look at the defensive positioning of the outfield, especially in left and center. They're very, very shallow. It'd be very difficult if the ball's hit sharply to left or center for Ensberg to score from second.
And that's ball 4. That loads the bases. And a big spot right here for Pat Murphy. His team trying to stay within a reasonable distance. Now Wes Rachels, who needs a triple to hit for the cycle. Rachels singled and scored in the first, hit a 3-run homer in the second, single to knock in a run in the third, double to knock in a run, and he scored again in the 6th. So he's 4 for 4 today. Gore and Rachels have each knocked in 5 runs to tie the record. Ensberg bluffed a long way down the line, but didn't throw off Pennington, hoping that the freshman might commit a balk with the bases loaded, but Pennington delivered smoothly and threw a strike to Rachels.
Yeah, that is taught when the pitcher does not go in the stretch, because you want him to give him a little bit of a flinch. Normally with bases loaded, the pitcher will go in stretch just to prevent that from happening.
Ensberg down the line again. Close pitch called a ball. 1-1.
But now he might be distracting Rachels more than he's distracting Pennington.
Rachels has been a very solid college player. Never has received much interest from professional teams. He was drafted earlier this week by Philadelphia in the 33rd round. As Coach Gillespie says, even though he's a very solid all-around player, he doesn't have any of the tools that really jump right out at you. Not a lot of power, not great speed, not a tremendous throwing arm. Just a very solid all-around player. 1-2 the count. Pennington trying to get out of the jam.
John, as you well know, doing your major league broadcasts, those are the kind of guys you build your club around, though. You've got to have those kind of guys on a ball club.
Well, Rachels with a chance to add to one of the great days in College World Series history. Pennington trying to keep the Sun Devils close. Here comes Ensberg trying to steal home. He's safe at home. Ensberg steals home, and the ball gets away from Halverson, the catcher. Pat Murphy's on the field arguing as the catcher goes to the backstop. A time had been called. Ensberg, after bluffing hard down the line several times during the at-bat, comes charging down the line and steals. And Murphy's arguing.
Sean, this is an unbelievable play. He steals home with 2 strikes on the hitter. I mean, Rachels has got to protect the plate. Fortunately, this ball is high. Otherwise, Rachels has to swing at it. You can see Rachels, he's in no man's land. He's trying to duck this ball, no question. He can see the runner coming. It's a bang-bang play at the plate. We can't really tell from that angle. And I don't think the umpire could either. He was kind of blocked out. This is the last play an umpire thinks he's going to get right here.
He looks safe there.
He sure does. Boy, I'll tell you what. This is unbelievable baseball. I can honestly say I've never seen this.
Of all the players we've talked to in recent years here at the College World Series, the guy most likely to steal home with the bases loaded, 2 strikes on a right-handed hitter up there, is Morgan Ensberg. Rachels delivers a big hit. 2 more runs will score. Wes Rachels finishing his USC career with a 5-hit game. He has knocked in a College World Series 7 runs in this championship game. 5 for 5, 3 runs scored, 7 runs batted in for the senior from Los Angeles.
I tell you what, Sean, all those bluffs didn't affect Pennington a bit, but when he finally did steal home, Wes Rachels finally got a ball to hit, got a 3-2 count, and spanked another one.
Freitas and Davidson scored, so all this damage done with 2 outs. 3 big runs in the inning, and Rachels a threat to run at first. The lead back up to 6 runs for USC, and the batter is Greg Hanoyan. You're wondering, the last time a player stole home in a College World Series game was last year. Mike Kerner of LSU did it against Stanford. Hanoyan, the 7th batter of the inning. 1-0 the count.
And Sean, we have to point out most steals of home occur on the back end of a double steal. Usually the guy from first breaks, and then the runner from third breaks, and then he steals home. That is credited with a steal of home. But a straight steal of home, that's really a rare thing to see. And with 2 strikes on the hitter, of course, you made the comment, Morgan Ensberg. I mean, he's loose. There's no question about it.
Very loose, very laid back, kind of a Southern California guy. He's not ashamed of it, nor should he be. And he's a great story. If you weren't with us last weekend, he was the last man cut from the team, from the traveling squad that came to the College World Series the last time they were here in 1995. He was a backup shortstop to a great player in USC history, Gabe Alvarez. Appeared in only 14 games during the year. So Ensberg, they could only bring 25 men. He was the 26th. So Ensberg and his mom jumped in the car and drove from Los Angeles to Omaha, their own expense. Morgan stayed, sat in the stands for every game except the championship game. Was in civilian clothes in the dugout for the championship game. He wanted to see what it was like. Now he's back here as a very important member of the team, perhaps on his way to winning the championship in his last game at USC. Not only is 7 runs batted in a championship game record, but it ties the record for any College World Series game. And Rachels was running on the 3-2 pitch to Hanoyan, who walks for the 2nd time. Carl Thomas of Arizona, Stan Holmes of Arizona State in 1954 and in 1981 drove in 7 runs in a College World Series game, a mark tied by Rachels today. Rachels has 5 hits. That ties the single game CWS record held by 10 others. Some of the names on that list are familiar. Ron Hasse, Terry Francona, Dave Magadan, Barry Bonds, Gabe Alvarez among those with 5 hits in a CWS game. Hanoyan lifted for a pinch runner. Rod Perry is running. He's been a late inning defensive replacement throughout the College World Series. So with a 6-run lead, he'll improve the base running and the defense with Perry taking over for Hanoyan. Rob Gore looked at strike 1. There's Perry. His dad, a coach with the San Diego Chargers. Rob Gore has hit 2 home runs today, and he pulls 1 foul down by the Arizona State bullpen. Gore hit a 3-run homer in the first, a solo shot in the second. He had a sacrifice fly last inning.
Sean, every time Gore's got a ball from the middle in, he's just killed it. The only time they have gotten him out when they've kept the ball away from him. And I'm sure that's what Halverson's going out to talk to Pennington about. Say, hey, don't be throwing that guy in there. He's got the do not disturb sign out. Plus it's 0-2 now. Let's be careful.
Well, with the count 0-2, that means Rachels is going to try to steal home from second base. Not only has Rachels been unbelievable at the plate, particularly in this game, but he's also handled 27 chances now in the field without an error at the College World Series. His RBI record might not last very long. If Gore rips another one out of here, that would give him 8 runs batted in for the game, and Rachels would have had the record for about 5 minutes. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men on, 2 outs. 14-8 USC in the 7th inning. Fly ball along the right field line for Michael Moreno. He makes the catch and foul ground. That ends the inning. But the Trojans add 3 more, and they lead by 6 during the 7th inning stretch.
Back at Rosenblatt Stadium, bottom of the 7th, USC with a 6-run lead. Well, the USC players have grown very attached to their new maroon jerseys. They just got them in the postseason, and already they have a perfect record in those jerseys, 4-0. All 4 of those wins came in elimination games. If they go on to win the national championship today, there is a feeling, Sean, that you'll never be able to peel these things off their backs.
Well, Coach Gillespie said that yesterday. He was delighted to find out that his team would be the visiting team. His team would have a chance to wear these jerseys because they've fallen in love with them. They have a number of uniform options. We mentioned earlier Jeff Jenkins and Gabe Alvarez, 2 recent Trojans of the past who've gone on to professional baseball. When they left the program, they wanted to give something back, so they designed and paid for black sleeveless uniforms that the Trojans have been wearing on Sundays. And the Trojan players like those too, but they're greater fans of these uniforms they're wearing today because they've had considerable success in them.
They would have had a tough dilemma if this game had been on Sunday, with a winning streak, and then Sunday they wouldn't know what to do.
Casey Myers with a base hit. And once again, it's a long comeback trail ahead of Arizona State, now down by 6.
Well, one thing that we've seen from Arizona State today, they do not give up. They will just keep coming at you and keep coming at you, and they lead the College World Series in hitting. So these guys are swinging hot bats too. That's just not quite as hot as the Trojans today, thus far.
Greg Halverson takes ball 1 low. Halverson's 1 for 3. He singled and scored during the 5-run second. He has struck out twice since, including once against the pitcher now on the mound, Steve Immel. And the pitch hit the bat, apparently. It hit his arm. Apparently it's a foul ball. Pat Murphy's out of the dugout wanting to ask the home plate umpire Dick Runche about it, and Runche tells him it hit the bat.
Yeah, you can see it hits the butt end of the bat. And this is where you got to do a little bit of play acting as a hitter. You got to drop back. Oh, got me. But he's 6'4", 225 pounds. And nah, that stuff's not going to hurt me.
He fouls one away to the right. He's in the hole 1 and 2. So were you a drama major at USC?
I tell you what, when the ball came that close to me, I was on the deck. I was hurt. Of course, all my buddies would say, "Oh yeah, what's new?"
Steve Immel making his first appearance in the College World Series. Has allowed just 1 hit. There's another out of the reach of Ensberg. A base hit for Halverson. And here come the Sun Devils again. If you joined us late, they trailed 8-0 after an inning and a half and got to within 9-8. They've never gotten quite even, but now the Trojans have pushed the lead back to 6, and here come the Devils again.
Well, this is a little inexperience on Himmel's part because the only balls that Halverson has had good swings at are slow breaking balls down in the zone. They should be pounding him up in the zone, at least in or away, either one, and they've had success with him. But that was a bad pitch in that situation.
2 men on, nobody out, and a long way to go in this one in the bottom of the 7th. Michael Collins got them started in earnest on the comeback trail with his grand slam in the 2nd. Out of the 5-run 2nd inning. Quickly cut the deficit from 8-zip to 8-5. Collins 1 for 3 today. And they have the top of the order coming up behind him. A bunt down the line. Munson lets it go foul. He's fortunate that he did not touch that. He tried to pick it up when it was in fair territory, and he whiffed. And had he touched it, it would have been a hit for Collins, and everybody would have been safe.
Sean, I think you're exactly right. That's a great call. I think he fanned on the attempt. Right now, he should let that ball go. No, you see, he pulled it back. He pulled it back.
Yeah, from here, it looked like he just missed it, but he realized at the last minute it was going to go foul.
Yeah, we're right above them. So from our vantage point, it looked like he grabbed at it, but he did pull back. That was the correct play because he had no play any base.
Immel ahead of Collins, 1 strike the count. 22 runs in this game, a College World Series championship game record. ASU looking to add more. Collins, a push bunt toward first. Gore applies the 10. Collins tried to slide under it, still about 15 feet short of the bag. So Collins bunts with his team down by 6, obviously trying to bunt for a hit. Didn't get that job done, but they do have 2 in scoring position.
This is not a bad play because, yeah, you're right. Even if he just gets the sacrifice, which he does, base hit, they're down by 4, and you know, you load the bases up, you're 1 swing away from tying the game again. So yes, we've set a record for the amount of runs scored, but that's going to be broken again.
There's Willie Bloomquist, 1 for 4 today, a 2nd inning single. Mike Gillespie said they had to keep Bloomquist in. Steve Immel making his first appearance in the College World Series. Has allowed just 1 hit. There's another out of the reach of Ensberg. A base hit for Halverson. And here come the Sun Devils again. If you joined us late, they trailed 8-0 after an inning and a half. And got to within 9-8. They've never gotten quite even. But now the Trojans have pushed the lead back to 6, and here come the Devils again.
Well, this is a little inexperience on Himmel's part because the only balls that Halverson has had good swings at are slow breaking balls down in the zone. They should be pounding him up in the zone, at least in or away, either one, and they've had success with him. But that was a bad pitch in that situation.
2 men on, nobody out, and a long way to go in this one in the bottom of the 7th. Michael Collins got them started in earnest on the comeback trail with his grand slam in the 2nd. Out of the 5-run 2nd inning. Quickly cut the deficit from 8-zip to 8-5. Collins 1 for 3 today. And they have the top of the order coming up behind him. A bunt down the line. Munson lets it go foul. He's fortunate that he did not touch that. He tried to pick it up when it was in fair territory, and he whiffed. And had he touched it, it would have been a hit for Collins, and everybody would have been safe.
Sean, I think you're exactly right. That's a great call. I think he fanned on the attempt. Right now, he should let that ball go. No, you see, he pulled it back. He pulled it back.
Yeah, from here, it looked like he just missed it, but he realized at the last minute it was going to go foul.
Yeah, we're right above them. So from our vantage point, it looked like he grabbed at it, but he did pull back. That was the correct play because he had no play any base.
Immel ahead of Collins, 1 strike the count. 22 runs in this game, a College World Series championship game record. ASU looking to add more. Collins, a push bunt toward first. Gore applies the 10. Collins tried to slide under it, still about 15 feet short of the bag. So Collins bunts with his team down by 6, obviously trying to bunt for a hit. Didn't get that job done, but they do have 2 in scoring position.
This is not a bad play because, yeah, you're right. Even if he just gets the sacrifice, which he does, base hit, they're down by 4, and you know, you load the bases up, you're 1 swing away from tying the game again. So yes, we've set a record for the amount of runs scored, but that's going to be broken again.
There's Willie Bloomquist, 1 for 4 today, a 2nd inning single. Mike Gillespie said they had to keep Bloomquist in check. He was the key for the offense of ASU, and they've done that. Bloomquist from Port Orchard, Washington, near Tacoma, a sophomore, has wanted to go to Arizona State since he was 9 years old. Took a trip with his dad down to the ASU campus to visit older sister Melanie, who was a student at ASU. They went to an ASU game, and Bloomquist decided that day he wanted to play for the Sun Devils. And that wasn't necessarily a popular decision. Around Seattle, they wanted him to stay at home and play for the University of Washington. His dad went to Washington. His brother Joe was an outside linebacker 4 years earlier for the football Huskies. Chopper down to third. Ensberg looked the runner back, and he throws Blomqvist out. Big play. They get the second out without the run coming in.
This is a textbook play by Ensberg. Gets the high chopper. See, he's playing in, so he gets a friendly hop. Looks the runner back to third. Makes an easy toss to first base. Textbook.
Two outs. And it's up to Arguelles to deliver. He's hitless today. Trying again to extend his hit streak to 8 games. Little lob left field. Freitas charging hard. Can't get it. 1 run is in. Here comes the second run as the ball kicked away from Freitas. A 2-run single by Rudy Arguelles, and that's a big hit. It would have been a major downer for ASU had they not scored at all with 2 men in scoring position and 1 out. Now they chip away at the lead and get it back down to 4. And Arguelles has driven in 5 runs in the College World Series.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, Sean. It would have been a real deflator momentum-wise, and these two clubs, I mean, they run on emotion. You know, in the big leagues, it's pretty much an emotionless game. But here, it's not. And so some of that emotion can drift from Southern Cal's dugout over to ASU. So much the better for them.
Big hit by Arguelles. Here's Michael Moreno, the number 3 hitter. Back to first is Arguelles. There's 9 stolen bases this year. They've been thrown out 5 times. Freitas has just shipped it over this inning to left field. Rod Terry, who came in to run for Greg Hanoyan, has taken over as the center fielder. Freitas moved from center to left. He couldn't quite get underneath that shallow fly to left by Arguelles. A strike on Moreno, 0-1. Last game at ASU for Moreno, senior from Mesa, Arizona, drafted early this week by the Cubs in the 22nd round. Chad Murphy says they will likely try to make him into a middle infielder, probably a second baseman. And Moreno is going to give pro ball a shot. He told us yesterday if that doesn't work out, he wants to be a coach. Coach Murphy quickly interjected, yes, he wants my job. It's a tough job both coaches inherited, Fred. Both followed legends. Rod Dato, the winningest coach in the history of college baseball. The late Jim Brock, great coach at ASU. And both coaches have measured up very well. One of them will win his first national championship today. Line to center. Perry on the move. Still going. It's over his head and off the wall. Arguelles being waved around. Rachels will run it back into the infield. It's a 3-run game, 14-11 on a double by Michael Moreno.
Sean, in this kind of situation, the outfield usually wants to play deeper so that they don't allow anything hit over their head. With the runner on first base, the only thing that's going to score them is a double or a triple. And in this case, Perry, who just came into the ball game for defensive purposes, should have been playing a little bit deeper. I mean, he does have great speed, and maybe he's not used to being out there that often. But you can't allow those kinds of things to happen in this kind of a ball game.
So Immel might be tiring. As we mentioned, he hasn't pitched at all in the College World Series. He breezed through 2 1/3 innings without allowing a hit. And he's given up 3 runs in this inning on 4 hits. And they will summon Mike Weibling from the bullpen. And they've just sent Jack Kravchuk, their All-American closer, down to start warming up. 14-11, USC in the 7th. Well, it seems every year we see this type of graphic, all kinds of records being set with runs scoring and home runs and attendance. They've set the attendance record this year. They've tied the record for batters hit. They've set the home run record, and we're still going. LSU also set the individual team record with 17. And it was demonstrated once again that the seedings really don't mean anything, because the 3 Florida schools, highly seeded, went 1 and 6. Well, here is Mike Weibling, a senior right-handed pitcher, long reliever this year with a 2-0 record and 1 save. And he is making his second appearance of this College World Series. He pitched 1 inning without allowing a run. And he's in to face the cleanup hitter, Andrew Beinbrink. He still has not had an official at bat today. He's walked 3 times, had a sacrifice fly. He's scored a run, knocked in 1. Moreno at second, 2 outs. 1-1 on Beinbrink. Even though Beinbrink's been on base 3 times, he remains the only ASU starter who does not have a hit. Big swing and a miss. 1-2 on Beinbrink. He's endured heartache within the last year. Last season, his dad Jeff, a Navy captain, died of cancer. Andrew and his dad very close. His parents divorced when Andrew was very young. He was raised by his dad for the most part. Pat Murphy told us Jeff Beinbrink used to be at every game watching Andrew play. Coach Murphy says Andrew now is kind of the mother hen on the team. He's the guy who goes over to a teammate when he might be struggling and puts the arm around him and tries to convince him that everything's going to be okay. Moreno at second is just the opposite. He's the guy who'll jump in somebody's face. Coach Murphy told us a story yesterday. Moreno was at the plate in the game early this year. A runner took off to steal third. After the game, Moreno went up to him. Don't you ever try to steal third when I'm up there hitting. And Michael admits that his language can get a little bit spicy, but the players know not to take it personally, that he's just trying to, as he said yesterday, raise their awareness of some situations, which I thought was a very nice way of putting it.
He's the enforcer. You have to have guys like that on the club too. They really have a unique club. I mean, they've got a little bit of everything. Of course, Beinbrink, he's got to follow Moreno because you don't want to have it the other way around. So you got to have the guy yell at the guy, and then the other guy said, "No, it's okay. Don't worry about it."
That's right. A good tandem. One yells at him, and the other guy brings him back up. Tying run in the on-deck circle for Arizona State in the 7th. That's hit a long way to right. The breeze blowing in that direction. We have a 1-run game again. An opposite field home run by Beinbrink. So now every starter has a hit for ASU, and Beinbrink has his team leading 12th home run of the year.
Well, Weibling did his job initially, came in throwing strikes, but once Beinbrink hit that rocket down the third baseline, he should have known that Beinbrink had his fastball timed pretty well. That's a pretty good pitch. This is outside, off the plate a little bit, but Beinbrink, big and strong, just lifts it out, no problem.
Well, it's 14-13. You almost want to look around for the place kicker to see if he's coming on for the extra point. Jeff Phelps, the batter. He lines one to right. Charging hard, Tice Hurst, and he makes the running catch at the knees to end the inning. So ASU trailed by 8 and got within a run. Then they fell behind by 6. Now they're back within a run again. 14-13 after 7.
The round of the day at Avenel belongs to Tommy Tolles. He's in second position, trailing only Fred Funk. This just a moment ago for par at the 15th hole. Preserves a spectacular day. He's 5 under for the day, just 4 off the lead. Coverage coming up shortly.
Well, his teammates have gotten Chad Pennington within 1 run of the lead. Now it's vital that he keep them close. They've been fighting valiantly uphill all day long since USC scored 8 runs in the first 2 innings to take an 8-0 lead. Middle third of the order coming up for USC. Eric Munson drives one foul out of play to the left. We mentioned that Mike Gillespie said that Bloomquist was the key for the offense of ASU, and they have neutralized him, which they have done. And Pat Murphy said Eric Munson's the best hitter in college baseball. We have to do a great job on him, and They've done that today. He's 1 for 4. There he goes, driving one to deep left. DeLucchi in that familiar spot in the corner, a foul ball. There's not going to be any left field line left by the time DeLucchi gets done sliding across it every inning or so.
I think that's going to be DeLucchi's corner from now on. There he is. We've seen this 3 or 4 times already. That's a smart play right there. You can see he knows he's running out of real estate, so he puts on the brakes and slides into the fence instead of running into it with his body. Good thinking right there.
They do use 6 umpires in the championship game. It's the 11th straight year that that's been the case, and Nick Zabelli, the left field line umpire, was right there to make the call. Munson down to third. Nice pickup by the third baseman, Beinbrink. Well, have an inning for yourself, Andrew. They had a shift on in the infield to shortstop Collins up the middle. Beinbrink playing way off the line and perfectly positioned, as it turned out, for Munson.
Well, Munson can't catch a break. He has hit the ball sharply every time. That's a knuckleball. There we saw it. And Beinbrink really playing shortstop. Makes a nice play as the ball comes up on him. Has plenty of time to make the play. Munson hitting in tough luck today.
Morgan Ensberg is the batter. And what a day he's had. 1 for 3. A single and a hit by pitch, but last inning he stole home. With that steal, he now has 20 stolen bases for the year to go with 21 home runs, and he becomes the first 20-20 player in USC history in one season. 21 homers, 20 stolen bases for Morgan Ensberg, the senior. From Hermosa Beach, California, he sends it down the right field line. Moreno runs out of the room.
Sean, you touched on it. This is a real key inning for ASU because this is really the heart of the home run order for the Trojans, and they've already taken care of Munson, and Ticehurst has 3 during the College World Series, although he's in a cold streak now. But if they can come out of this inning unscathed, they're going to be looking really good.
A little high and tight. Ensberg ducking out of the way. Mike Gillespie said Morgan Ensberg's had a very special year for us. He really picked up the slack during those 19 games when Eric Munson was out due to injury. He's barely alive after that pitch. Halverson held it there for an extra look from Dick Arunci. And it's down and in. And Pennington was all around it. And he winds up walking Ensberg. The third walk given up by Pennington, who pitched an inning and a third.
Well, we know he can steal.
That walk gets the bullpen going again for the Sun Devils, and they're going to buy a little time for Phil Lowry. He's been up several times already, a left-hander. Throwing again in the bullpen. Halverson out to the mound, buy time for him. Brad Ticehurst waits. Ticehurst 0 for 4. The only starter on either team who has not reached base. Tonight on CBS, don't miss Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, followed by Early Edition, then it's Walker, Texas Rangers. That's all coming up tonight on CBS. There's Phil Lowry, the lefty, in the bullpen. The freshman Pennington pitches to Ticehurst. Halverson set up outside, and the pitch was outside.
Sean, I think if Ticehurst had remained hot, they would have made the switch and brought the left-hander in. But since he's such a cold hitter right now, they're willing to gamble that Pennington can get Ticehurst, the left-handed hitter, because right-handed hitter coming up, Jason Lane.
There's a strike on the corner, 1-1. Southern California leads 14-13. In the top of the 8th inning in this national championship game. Ensberg back to first. Only Mark McGuire and Jeff Jenkins have hit more home runs at USC than Ensberg. He's not running. Ticehurst, foul tip into the mid of Halverson. The ball and 2 strikes. Line foul. Well back into the seats and left. Been an up and down year for the Trojans. And the same is true of Halverson. He endured an 0 for 21 slump in midseason. The pitch goes through Halverson. Ensberg thought about third. Halverson gets it. He's talking about Ticehurst, who's had an up and down season, including the 0 for 21 slump. Then he picked it right back up. 1 point at the end of the season, went 16 for 27. A very streaky hitter up there now.
You can see Halverson, instead of trying to block the ball, tried to catch the ball, and his glove was actually in the wrong position. Should have been up the other way and just slide underneath that ball and try to block it. You can't afford, this is a 1-run ball game now. You can't afford putting a runner in scoring position.
The pass ball, the second of the day, charged to Halverson. Now a deep drive to right. Ticehurst is out of this slump with a home run. Over everything in right field. Well, Pat Murphy made the decision to stay with Pennington to pitch to Ticehurst. And he made it backfire with a mammoth home run to push the lead back to 3. And you wonder how many times the Sun Devils can get up off the canvas.
Great point, Sean. He rolled the dice and he got burned. He got burned. Here's the fastball right down Broadway. The pitch that Ticehurst has been having trouble with is the fastball above the belt. But this one is belt high. And that's the Ticehurst of 2 days ago. And that's what gives coaches and managers gray hairs. He got a left-hander pitcher warming up down there. He doesn't bring him in. Kapayao.
Ticehurst having the congratulations in the dugout. It's his 4th home run of the College World Series. And his first hit of the day. Foul ball up the bat of Jason Lane. He's 1 for 4 today. Guess what? Ticehurst with 4 home runs has tied a record for homers in a College World Series, shared by 4 others. Bud Hollowell of USC back in 1963, Gary Heimel of LSU in 91, J.D. Drew of Florida State in 95, and Jeff Jenkins of USC also in 95. You can add Brad Ticehurst to that list. So he's been up and down, but he's provided some big blasts in this College World Series for USC. There's a base hit. And freshman Pennington is getting knocked around. He'd been outstanding lately in regional and College World Series competition. An 8 1/3 inning scoreless streak coming in, but they've scored 5 runs against him today, and it seems that Pat Murphy has seen enough.
Well, I believe there's another record set, Sean, is this base hit by Jason Lane, I believe, ties the record for most hits during a College World Series.
14, set by Joe Caruso of Alabama last year as the Tide advanced to the championship game before losing to LSU. And we thank Marty Aronoff, our crack statistician, for all the work that he has done today, keeping track of the records that have been tied and broken. The record for runs in a championship game was 13. LSU scored 13 last year, Oklahoma in 94. Both teams have scored 13 or more today. USC now with the record for runs in a championship game, and they lead by 3 in Omaha. Coming up next on CBS Sports, 3rd round coverage of the Kemper Open, live from Potomac, Maryland. Fred Funk's lead now 4 shots. Tommy Tolles making a move today. He's the 9 under par with 1 hole remaining. 3 others 5 shots back of Funk. The Kemper Open coming up next, right here on CBS Sports. Here is the 4th pitcher of the ball game for Arizona State, the junior left-hander Phil Lowry. trying to keep it a 3-run deficit for ASU. He's 8-6, 5.22 earned run average. And he is a strikeout pitcher with 96 and 98 in the third innings.
Yeah, Lowry, he comes in here, he's got a very good fastball, got a very good curveball, and it throws an occasional change, but when he's a strikeout pitcher, you're going to see a lot of hard stuff.
There's a base hit on the first pitch thrown by Lowry. Jeremy Freitas, a single to left. Lane goes to second. Freitas has 4 hits today.
Seems like every time they bring in a left-hander to face Freitas, I mean, he just buries his right shoulder, says, I'm not giving an inch, and he gets a base hit. He really handles left-handed pitchers well.
He's already scored 3 times, and he's at first for Seth Davidson. He has 2 hits and a walk, and he has scored 3 times. 18 hits now for the Trojans. Change up from Lowry missed. Lowry making his 2nd appearance of this College World Series. He was the starter in their first game against Florida State, which was a wild ball game. ASU jumped out to a quick lead. They led 8-2, blew the lead. Florida State took a 10-8 lead before Arizona State came back with 3 runs in the 7th to win 11-10. Lowry in that game against the Seminoles lasted 4 1/3 innings, gave up 5 runs on 5 hits and 5 walks. He struck out 4. Florida State really helped the ASU cause in that game by making 6 errors. 2-0 the count on the freshman Seth Davidson.
Sean, this ball game reminds me of a Rocky movie where he just keeps getting battered, and then he comes back and he throws a million punches, and then he gets battered again, and he comes back, throws a million more punches.
Well, it's likely that ASU is going to have to counterpunch very soon against one of the best closers in the nation, Jack Krofchek, first-team All-American. 2-1 pitch is low, and it's 3 balls and a strike with Wes Rachels, who's already 5 for 5 today on deck. Davidson has been on base 4 times now, and the crowd roars in anticipation of the at-bat from Rachels, who's working on one of the great days in the history of college baseball. 5 for 5 today with 7 runs batted in. He singled and scored in the first, hit a 3-run homer in the second, singled to knock in another run in the third, doubled to drive in a run, and he scored in the sixth, singled to knock in 2 more in the seventh. 5 for 5, 3 runs scored, 7 runs batted in, and here he is with the bases loaded. We talked about Andrew Beinbrink, the loss of his dad, and it's a tragedy that Rachels has endured recently too. His dad died last year. He used to come to all of the SC home games, sit out there in the parking deck in right field and watch. He was confined to a wheelchair late in his life. And Wes and his dad were very close. Rachels came to USC as a walk-on. He line to the second, caught there by Bloomquist, a double play. Well, Rachels hit another bullet, looking for his 6th hit of the ball game, but he finally ran out of good fortune, as it's a double play that gets them out of the inning. Down by 3, the Sun Devils. And here is tonight's winning Powerball number. Well, it started in the top of the first with a 3-run homer by Gore, and it hasn't stopped. Records being set all over the place. Mike Weibling now trying to keep the Trojans ahead by 3. Krofchek is warming up as the bottom of the 8th begins. Bottom part of the order coming up For Arizona State, Dustin DeLucchi, the number 6 hitter. And Casey Myers and Greg Halverson. DeLucchi 1 for 4 today with a single. He reached on a fielder's choice to knock on a run and scored back in the second. Weibling came in last inning, immediately gave up a 2-run homer to Beinbrink, the first batter he faced. Then he got Phelps on a line drive to left to end the inning. On the corner, 0-2 to DeLucchi.
You know, Sean, even though we've had 29 runs scored, it's been a well-played game defensively. I mean, they haven't given away runs.
Well, just the one error. And that's the reason why Pat Murphy was not at all surprised that USC beat LSU yesterday, and that was the 2-time defending national champions. And we talked with Coach Murphy yesterday. He said, and we asked him, do you have any preference who you'd rather play? He said, well, I fully expect we're going to play USC because they're a better team. Better all around. LSU had some deficiencies in fielding, pitching. USC a pretty solid all-around club, and Coach Murphy was well aware of that. Skip Bertman said that too after yesterday's game. He said USC should have won. They are a better team than we are right now. One-two pitch in the dirt. From 0-2 to 2-2 for Weibling and DeLucchi. "29 runs scored in this game, 32 hits. Swing and a miss. He chased a soft one, a little bit low and away. Too close to take, certainly. And DeLucchi is out.
This is what Weibling has to do. He has to change speeds. Here you can see that ball's gripped way back in his palm. It's either a circle change or a palm ball, but you can see the action on it. Starts out over the middle of the plate, then just dives down and away. That's a great pitch. Really a tough pitch to distinguish as a hitter.
Casey Myers, the batter. He rips one deep to left, down the line. That ball is gone. The freshman Casey Myers with his 4th hit of the game, his first home run. And the Sun Devils trailed by 2, 16-14.
It's that 2-point conversion as he tried. The successful is the difference in the game. Here's a pitch from Weibling. There's the same pitch that he just struck out DeLucchi on, but this one goes down and into the right-handed hitter. That's a great pitch away from the left-hand hitter. Not so good coming into the power zone of a right-hand hitter.
Well, these two teams have now combined for 8 home runs. That's a championship game record for 2 teams combined. The home run for Myers was his 8th of the year. Still just 1 out. Greg Halverson, 2 for 4, 2 singles and 2 runs scored, with 2 strikeouts sandwiched in between.
Sean, you talked about USC's stopper and Jack Kravchuk. If he was a power pitcher, he'd be in the game right now, but he is not.
Well hit ball, and it eats up the shortstop Davidson out in the shallow center. And Halverson, who does not run well, wisely stops at first. Well, that was a smash. Hit at Davidson. Now the tying run's coming to the plate. And will Kravchuk be summoned? Mike Gillespie's looking down to the bullpen now, wants to know if he's ready. He should be.
Well, Halverson, every time they pitch him away and he can extend those long arms of his, he's hammered the ball. The point we're trying to make about Kravchuk is his fastball clocks out about 81, and he throws changeups predominantly, just changeup, changeup, changeup. And after you've seen him one time, the mystery is over. And so Coach Gillespie does not want to bring him in too soon and have a lot of looks with these ASU hitters. But if he waits too long, the game could be out of reach.
Well, plus Kravchuk has pitched a lot in this College World Series. Made 3 appearances. Pitched 5 2/3 innings. And here comes the pitching coach, Savage. It is a save situation. We could see the nation's leading save man, and we will. Jack Kravchuk coming into the ball game. The tying run is once again at the plate for Arizona State with 1 out in the 8th inning in the national championship game. Jack Krofcheck, the new pitcher. 22 saves to lead the nation this year. Collins turned as if to bunt and looked at ball 1. As Fred Lynn mentioned a moment ago, for Krofcheck, it's slower and slowest. Collins has the grand slam today. Krofcheck's fastball generally in the very low 80s, but he throws an abundance of changeups that generally run up there in the low 70s. And Collins out ahead of that one. Even though you know it's going to be coming slowly, you're still out ahead of it.
Sean, the best time to throw a changeup is in a hitter's count. 1-0, it's a hitter's count. You think you're going to get a fastball? No, I'm not.
Collins, another push bunt toward first. He did that the last time up, and again, Bohr tags him out. Well, that seems to me, Fred, to be a very odd play.
It's got to be.
You have a guy who's demonstrated to get the ball out of the ballpark. Why are you giving up an out?
The only reasoning could be that he's trying to push that ball out to second base and bunt for a base hit. And that, because he is speedy, he just bunted it to the first baseman. If he bunts that ball 10 feet to the left, it's a hit.
They have credited him with a sacrifice, although that seems to be very generous because down by 2 and being the tying run at the plate, you generally wouldn't be up there sacrificing, especially with 1 out. You'd be up there trying to get a hit. That seemed to be Collins' intention. Well, Bloomquist has had a quiet day. He's been their MVP according to the coach. He's the most dangerous player in the lineup according to the opposing team's coach, Mike Gillespie of USC. But today he's 1 for 5. 1-1 the count.
And Krofcheck knows that these AS hitters know him too, so he's throwing a couple more fastballs here to say, hey guys, I do have a fastball. I can throw it once in a while. You just can't sit on my changeup.
Tying run at the plate. Bloomquist, not a great home run threat with 4 homers this year. Kemper Open coming next. Fred Funk with a 4-shot lead on Tommy Tolles. 4 others 5 back. Here it's a 2-run lead for USC in the 8th inning. They've led by 8. They led again by 6 after the lead was narrowed to 1. But Arizona State keeps coming back. Now it's 1-2 on Bloomquist. And tremendous intrigue in this appearance for Krofcheck. He's from Scottsdale, Arizona, and grew up a big Arizona State Sun Devil fan. Used to attend the games when he was a little boy. Bloomquist, a big swing and a little pop-up out behind second base. Davidson stabs at it and makes the catch. And that ends the inning. The Sun Devils get 1 on a home run by Casey Myers. We head to the 9th, 16-14, Southern California. (16-14) USC heading to the 9th. This is the 14th game of this year's College World Series, and it's the 5th time in 14 games that both teams have scored 10 runs or more. There have now been 61 homers in this College World Series, 13 more than the old record. And here's Rod Perry Jr. up for the first time today. He came in as a pinch runner in the 7th. Rod's hitting .239 for the year, 22 hits and 92 at bats. He's 1 for 3 here at the College World Series. First pitch from Phil Lowry is a ball. Kemper Open, 3rd round coverage coming up next for you golf fans tuning in. We'll get you there just as quickly as we can. Here we are still to crown a national champion. Perry took ball 2. Batters 2, 3, and 4 against Lowry. Rod Perry, Rob Gore, and Eric Munson. Lowry came in last inning, gave up a single and a walk, but then got the double play ball. And the line drive to second that got them out of the inning. Chad Pennington pitched an inning in the third, gave up 5 earned runs and 5 hits and 3 walks. 2-2 the count now with Perry. Base hit through the right side. Well, every player who's come to the plate today for USC has had a hit. Here are the records set today. Runs by one team, runs by 2 teams, hits by 1 team, and by 2 teams, homers by 2 teams. Many individual records that we've chronicled for you throughout the afternoon. And perhaps still more to come. Rob Gore has a chance right now. No player has ever hit 3 homers in the championship game. He takes a strike. Gore homered in his first 2 at bats. Picked up a sacrifice fly in the 6th inning. Has knocked in 5 runs, which shared the championship game record until Wes Rachels collected his 6th and 7th runs batted in of this game. He jammed him, popped up right at the mound. Lowry battling to Sun, the first baseman, and the third baseman collide. They have a play at second, and they make it. Collins, the shortstop, coolly picked the ball up and threw to Bloomquist for the out. But now Phelps, the first baseman, is injured. He got tangled up with the third baseman, Beinbrink. Pitcher looked to be having a very difficult time finding the ball, and ordinarily if another fielder can take it, he does. But Beinbrink and Phelps collided, and they're tending to Phelps.
But normally in this situation, you want a position player to handle the ball, and the pitcher's job is to call off. His job is to say, first base, first base, first base, or third base, third base. He's the captain. He's got to be directing traffic so that this situation doesn't occur. They were fortunate that the ball stayed close by and they were able to get the force out at second. This should not happen. The pitcher's got to take charge here.
No, I think he was just so determined to get out of the way. He really didn't know which way to go. There's the collision. It looked like a leg injury to Phelps. You could see that his legs were bending awkwardly as he went stumbling off the side of the mound. He's okay. He'll stay in. Gore safe at first on a fielder's choice with 1 out.
Actually, Sean, USC catches a break because Gore is a more experienced player, and he's at first base now. Even though the Perry probably has more flat speed, Gore has more game time experience.
Munson hits a bullet to the left side. The shortstop Collins was playing up the middle. That left a big hole on the left, and Munson found it. So Munson has his 2nd hit. He's 2 for 6. And very important that Lowry stopped this rally right here from the ASU point of view.
This is just about the spot where Beinbrink picked him last time, but there was no runner on first base, and they could utilize the shift. This time they had to play honest, and he found the hole.
Morgan Ensberg. We talked with him a week ago prior to last week's game with LSU. He said this season has been an absolute fantasy for me. Well, it's become even better today, including a steal of home by Ensberg back in the 7th inning. Been on base 3 times, a single, a walk, and a hit by pitch. He has scored twice. He said last week it's the best season I've had since, you know, you're about 9 years old. You hit a home run just about every time up. You can steal a base whenever you want. Then if you make it out, you go back to the bench and cry. He loves baseball. He played in the Cape Cod League last summer, a very prestigious league. Top collegians play. They used the wooden bat there. He had a great experience on Cape Cod, as you might expect. On the way home, he decided he had enough baseball, so he went to Kansas and played in the league there for a couple of weeks in August.
That's what you call barnstorming across the country. Never quite get sated. You just keep on going. Well, where's another league? Yeah, I'll go over there for a while.
His fan group barnstorms around the country. His mom and dad make it to just about every game, as do his grandparents, Keith and Bernice Oviatt. 2-1 from Lowry. A bullet. That's a fair ball out of the reach of Beinbrink. Gore around to score. Munson stops at third. It's a double. And the fantasy continues for Morgan Ensberg.
Morgan Ensberg has tried to pull the ball pretty much all day long, with the exception of last at bat. This ball is right down the middle, and for a pull hitter, a right-handed pull hitter coming off a left-handed pitcher, this is the ball that he wants to see. In this situation, he's trying to drive the ball. Fortunately for ASU, he hit the ball on the ground and not up in the air.
37 hits now by these two teams. That ties the record for most hits in any College World Series game. It's already the championship game record, but they've also tied for any CWS game. Arizona State versus Oklahoma State in 1984. They combined for 37 hits. ASU had 23 of them. They're going to intentionally walk Brad Ticehurst to load the bases, set up a double play possibility, and force it home. And they'll pitch to Jason Lane, who's already tied the record for hits by an individual in a College World Series. And there might be a pitching change as well, as they've had a right-hander, Chuck Crumpton, warming up in the bullpen.
Well, Coach Murphy's not going to make the same mistake twice, that's for sure, with Ticehurst. They had an open base. I'm going to make a pitching change, and Ticehurst, I'm not letting you beat me again.
Murphy heads for the mound. Right-hander hitting Lane due up, and there will be a pitching change. Chuck Crumpton will be the 5th pitcher of the ball game for Arizona State. USC leads by 3, and they're trying to add to that lead in the 9th. Now the 10th pitcher in this game is Chuck Crumpton, the right-hander. And you're right, 10 pitchers used in the championship game is the championship game record. 5 for each team. Now Bruce Snyder, the football coach at ASU, is expected to attend this game with Rob Evans, the new basketball coach. Wonder if Coach Snyder brought his field goal kicker with him. They might need the field goal to tie it. They hope that's all they need, because Crumpton's into a bases loaded spot with 1 out. And as you look at his numbers, we'll move from Crumpton's line to the leaderboard at the Kemper Open 3rd round action. Ongoing, Fred Funk eating up the course in Potomac, Maryland. Now 14 under, 2 under on his 3rd round today. And with a 5-shot lead over 3 others, Tommy Tolles, Clark Dennis, and Stuart Appleby. And the golf action is coming up next right here on CBS Sports. Bases are full. Eric Munson, the Trojan, at 3rd. Morgan Ensberg at 2nd. Brad Ticehurst, was just intentionally walked, is at 3rd. ASU has trailed all day, fell behind 3-0 after a half inning, 8-0 after an inning and a half. They've never gotten even. They got to within 9-8, then the deficit grew back to 6. And they narrowed the gap back down again, but now it's 3, and perhaps growing as Lane steps in. 14 hits of the College World Series. That's tied the record. Chance to set the record all by himself in this at bat. He's 2 for 5 today. He takes a strike on the outside corner from Crumpton.
Well, what we're going to see from Crumpton is, you know, he doesn't have one pitch that's anything that's outstanding, but he mixes his pitches up well. Fastball, slider, change. Boy, he wants that double play ground ball right now.
Lane was swinging for the downs there. Crumpton's a junior college transfer. He's from Mesquite, Texas. Lane hits it high in the air and deep in center field. Arguelles leads. He can't get it. Jason Lane Lane sets the College World Series record for hits in a World Series with a grand slam for USC, his 15th hit. And the Trojans lead is now a touchdown, 21-14.
Sean, this is the kind of blast we saw all last week. There's a hanging breaking ball, and this ball just kept carrying. Unlike a lot of the balls hit earlier in this game, this ball kept going. It never slowed down. It looked like it was in the park, No!
Hits. 4 of them homers. 15 hits, a record by himself. 4 homers, ties the College World Series. Brad Ticehurst, his teammate, tied that record, the homer record, earlier today. Jason Lane, junior, another junior college transfer. Last year he was at Santa Rosa Junior College, where he's the Northern California JC Player of the Year. With a lot less fanfare than he is receiving now. He had 2 homers yesterday against LSU and closed out the game with an inning and a third of scoreless pitching. And that grand slam had them erupting in the dugout. Each team has hit a slam today. Freitas sends one through the middle, a base hit. That is his 5th hit of the ball game.
That must be a record, most guys with 5 hits in one game.
Freitas is going to be lifted for a pinch runner. Lane still accepting the congratulations in the dugout. Freitas leaves after his 5th hit. 23 hits now for USC. That ties the record for a College World Series game by one team in any game, not just the championship game. Arizona State has that record. They had done it twice in '84 and '88 against Oklahoma State and Wichita State, respectively. Jeff DePippo is the pinch runner. Well, Mike Gillespie, being the classy guy that he is, getting DePippo into the championship game, get his name into the box score. He's been a contributor throughout the year. Backup catcher. He's at second now as Davidson grounds out. Well, if ASU has one more rally, it's going to have to be a big one. They don't need Coach Snyder's field goal kicker anymore. They need Jake the Snake to come back and lead one more last-minute drive for the Sun Devils. Here's Wes Rachels bidding for his 6th hit of the game. 5 or 6, and the only out he made was last inning on a line drive to second with the bases loaded. It wound up as a double play. He's driven in 7 runs today. Rachels checks his swing and takes a ball. 35 runs by these two teams combined. Ties the College World Series record for any game. They've already set the championship game record, but 35 runs the record in any game at the CWS. ASU and Oklahoma State in 1984. The game won by the Sun Devils 23-12. Drives one to center. That one will stay in the yard. Handled by Arguelles to end the inning. Jason Lane putting the finishing touches on a memorable College World Series. A grand slam, and USC now leads by 7 as we head to the bottom of the 9th, the national championship game in Omaha. USC 3 outs away from the 12th national championship in school history, the first in 20 years. ASU needs to mount another spirited comeback against the best closer in the nation this year, Jack Kopchak. His first pitch, a strike to Rudy Arguelles. Arguelles, Michael Moreno, and Andrew Beinbrink, hitters 2, 3, and 4, due up. They have the batters up there they'd like to have up there. high-speed pitch, as most of them are. And Kravchuk's ahead 1-2. Well, with all the records being set today that are College World Series records, Kravchuk has a chance to set 2 national records. With 22 saves this year, he's already tied the national record set by Scott Wright of Cal State Fullerton in 1984. And Kravchuk has 48 career saves. That's tied all time with Tim Hickox of Stetson, pitched in the late 80s and the early 90s. Arguelles out on the fly ball to Rod Perry in center, and they're 2 outs away from another national title. We posed the question last week, was it possible that it could happen again? 1948, Kentucky won its first national title in basketball. Michigan won its first in men's ice hockey. USC won its first in baseball. This year, 50 years later, Kentucky again won the basketball championship. Michigan won the ice hockey championship. And now USC kind of complete the trifecta on the 50th anniversary of their first championship in baseball.
Kismet. Karma.
Michael Moreno, the batter, 1-1 the count. He's 2 for 5 today. A single, a double, 2 runs scored, a stolen base, and a run batted in his last game for ASU.
Oh.
2 balls, 1 strike. There's the guy who undoubtedly is going to be the MVP of this College World Series, Jason Lane, although certainly Rachel's today and Gore gave him a run for his money. But with what Lane has done throughout the College World Series, offensively and with his pitching, he has to be. We are just guessing, of course, but it'll be an investigation if he's not.
I think that's a pretty good guess. He would get my vote, that's for sure.
Well hit ball, foul out of the reach of the diving Ensberg. Well, the years ending in 8s have been great for USC baseball too. We mentioned their first championship in 48. They also won the baseball championship in 58, 68, and 78. 78, the last time they won one. Kentucky also won the basketball crown in 58 and 78. Now they are 1 out away from a national championship. Jack Kravchuk, who grew up a Sun Devil fan, watching the games there as a young boy, wanted to pitch there but wasn't recruited. Came as a walk-on to USC, and during his redshirt year earned the attention of the coaches by pitching well in batting practice. Now here he is about to set records for closers in college baseball and finish off the title hopes of the team he grew up dreaming about playing for.
You know, Sean, there is a closer in the big leagues like him, and it's Doug Jones, so it can be done.
Kravchuk was drafted earlier this week in the 25th round by the Brewers, the team that Doug Jones has pitched for. Feinbrink sends it to left, not deep enough. USC wins the national championship in college baseball for the 12th time. Southern California with 21 runs on 23 hits and 1 error. They left 7. ASU 14 runs, 16 hits and no errors. They left 8. Let's go down to the field. Here's Andrea Joyce.
All right, thanks, Sean. Coach Mike Gillespie, congratulations. You had to battle your way through the losers bracket. 3 wins in 3 days. How much more special does that make this championship?
It couldn't be more special. I can't express how proud we are of our guys. I think they just did a tremendous job, and I'm sort of speechless. I'm sorry, but boy, are we ever thrilled with our kids.
Congratulations again. All right, back to you, Sean.
A tearful Mike Gillespie, particularly thrilled with Jason Lane, who not only set the record in this College World Series for hits and earned the record with a grand slam to provide the final margin, but he also was the winning pitcher today. Now for Fred Lynn and Andrea Joyce, Sean McDonough saying so long from Omaha, where USC has defeated Arizona State 21-14. The Trojans are the national champions. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports. Golf is next.